Word of advice: never follow Red Apple Schnapps with Pepsi.
That is a great way to open this show. That is awesome. Oh, as you can all see, Kevin is joining us again. There is Bob. I'm back. Bob, did you slick your hair back, or is that cut?
I just, it was pretty messed up, so I just ran a brush through it so it didn't look as terrible as it did. Because it is 10:30 here. I work third shift, so my sleep schedule is always screwed up, and so I was taking a little hour nap here before the show.
Sweet. Tonight, as everybody knows, Kevin is drinking red apple schnapps.
Yes.
Red apple schnapps?
Yeah, and I'm having a hard time getting into my pineapple cider. There we go. Damn. Pineapple cider from Beer and Wine Fest, where Tricia should be broadcasting from in the pseudo-near future. It tastes like pineapples. It's like a pineapple apple juice mix, and it's just in a. This is just a custom bottle because my wife took the growler back to the Beer and Wine Fest to get it refilled. So we have a full growlers for full pineapple cider here, and she's getting more.
That's a really cool container, by the way. I really like that. My wife has gotten me 2 of those because I'm making my own apple cider right now, my hard apple cider, and I've got 2 of the larger bottles like that full of cider.
And I mean, it's technically that bottle is a growler, I guess, if you really want to. But the growler I'm talking about, well, Kevin would know what a growler is because they're all everywhere over here. But a growler is like a much bigger bottle that you refill with stuff.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like code for something. Like, you got the growlers, the biters, the chewers. It's like it sounds like a type of dog.
No. Hey, slight aside, not to speak about work, because we're going to talk about Star Wars, but I supervise a carrier who is moving to Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Wow, that's where my comic book shop is.
Well, because I asked him, I said, do you know where Warsaw is? He's like, no. And then I kind of explained it, and I'm like, how close is that to where you're moving? And he's like, I'm moving to Fort Wayne.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Carriers.
What?
Hey, passing that on to the wife lady. That conversation thing.
Yeah.
Because my wife is over here. Do we have the question and answers open?
It is open, so if anyone wants to jump in. I have shared this, and you guys should go to Facebook and share my share. But I've shared it on Facebook, I've shared it on my website, I've shared it on the Amino Star Wars app. I'm hoping somebody sees it so that we get some activity.
Yeah, and if we don't, you know what? Fuck them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. There is unfortunate news about tonight. Even though we will be talking about the awesome that is Star Wars, I don't have any Star Wars Mad Libs. I looked and looked, and I couldn't find anything that was readable because I can find stuff that's got little print. And yes, I can make it out, but it's no.
Okay, I hit the share button and nothing happened. Here we go. Share. Always hit the share button. Never hit the Sunny button.
And I am watching at the moment. It's called Star Wars: A Last Hope. It is a fan edit of the first 3 movies into one movie. I am curious. I was curious to see how they made all 3 movies into one movie, and the first 10 minutes has been nothing but the Darth Maul fight. So that just ended, and I'm interested to see where it goes. It's on YouTube, so you can watch it too.
I am currently level 48 on the Star Wars game.
Ooh, I hit 70. I'm maxed out.
Wow. And your guy has been helping me out quite a bit.
I have 7-starred Darth Sidious. I have 7-starred Chewbacca. I am currently working on Luminara Unduli. I think she's 6-star right now, and I've got a long way to go to get her enough shards for her. But I'm also actively working on Mace Windu, and then from there, I just unlocked General Veers. I have been trying to unlock him for so long. I finally got him unlocked. I jacked him up as high as I could to use him in the Galactic March, the Galactic War.
Very surprised at how powerful Darth Sidious is. It was like literally I got him, I started training him, and he like moved up the ranks to where he's right next to Chewbacca now. He's like one of my most powerful guys.
Kevin, you don't play Galaxy Heroes?
Actually, I was just getting my phone so that I could ask you the name of the game so I can look it up.
Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And we'll give our shared code, our ally codes out, so you can ally both of us. Of the three of us, of course, I will have the highest ranked characters because I've been playing the longest. But Darth Sidious, I guess he's designed to be the strongest free-to-play character, and that's really where I'm at. So when I unlocked Darth Sidious, since we're just starting off on this game anyway, when I got Darth Sidious to level 7, I unlocked the Shard Shop, where I did not realize it was going to be such a waste of time. So any excess shards I get for Sidious, for instance, I convert into shard coins that I can buy shards at. Now, the only shards in there that I give a rat's ass about right now are General Grievous. And the number of excess shards I need to convert to get General Grievous unlocked are ungodly high. So I'm just going to kind of work on Mace Windu and Luminara because I just don't know how long he's going to be available. So I'm going to save up my shard coins until... I mean, if he stays there, great. If not, if they switch him out, I'll start going with him.
Yeah.
Tactics you should both be aware of. Sidious, if you're not going to pay for anything in the game, Sidious is going to be your strongest character. You're going to want to go with him. Chewbacca is going to be the strongest tank. You're going to want to keep him. If as soon as you can unlock Qui-Gon Jinn, you're going to want to jack him up too. I did not realize how important Qui-Gon is until...
Pretty awesome. He's got that ability. Okay, like I try to take out their healers first, obviously, right? So you're hitting the healer. Their Chewbacca does the roar to where you can only hit him. That's when you use Qui-Gon Jinn's ability to knock out the Wookiee's only hit me shot, and then bam, 2 more shots later, your healer's gone. So I save that until the Wookiee does that whole only hit me. Now, cancel.
Well, and Qui-Gon, as the leader, enhances everyone's speed. So in theory, most of, if not all of your characters should move first if you have Qui-Gon as your leader.
Oh, I didn't think about putting him as my leader.
Right. And see, that's what got me too. I'm like, well, Qui-Gon's nice, but I could be, I use Sidious as my leader because his leader ability is unlimited power, and I've been using that because it's got great benefits. But as soon as I found out that Qui-Gon gives me that much of a boost, I was like, fuck that! I am using Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon.
But Sidious, my Sidious is like 65, and my Qui-Gon's like 50. I think I got him up to 50 or 52 right now. So I've got a long way to go for Qui-Gon, but I really have to protect him, but I get the boost from the speed.
Yeah. So there's characters in there that the only way to get is to spend real money on?
Well, yeah, I guess. Like, let's go with, if I was serious about getting General Grievous, the best way to get General Grievous is to pay money to buy crystals so that I can buy chromium pack after chromium pack after chromium pack to build up as many fucking shards as I can to have excess shards of a character that's a 7-star to use in the shard store to get General Grievous.
Wow. Because I've got a lot of them that have like one shard on them, to where sooner or later I will get them for free without using them.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I know which characters I give a rat's ass about, so I went for those, and I've been working on them. You know, I've kind of come along new ones as I went. But is it downloading, Kevin?
It's finished downloading.
Sign up, man. Sign up. Woo!
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you can learn from my mistakes, basically.
You know, I tell people all the time that that's one thing that I have. I'm only 40 years old, but that's still seems pretty old. The thing where that people say, always learn from your mistakes, that is a terrible, terrible piece of advice. Because not only do you have your own mistakes to learn from, but you should learn from everybody's mistakes. People around you are making mistakes all the time. So you should learn from everybody's mistakes, not just your own.
Exactly.
That's something I learned way too late in life.
But I used to talk to old people all the time, and I knew that listening to them talk would give me benefits in that I would A, learn something, or B, I genuinely liked listening to history, so that's why I was listening to them. So the other added benefit I got to listening to old people yammer on is the benefit of having them as a friend in the cases where I would need something. Hey, that's the kid that listened to me all the time. I got no problem helping him out.
Yeah.
But if I had to stop and think, when was the first? Who was the youngest person I listened to talk about the good old days or whatever? And I'd have to say it was around 40. So, Bob, we're officially old enough to be telling stories.
Oh, which I do. I tell people all the time. In fact, my boy got angry with me one time. The one who's no longer here. He said,
the camera just cut to Kevin, and he's not making any noise or anything.
well, the comment he made, he says, everything's a life lesson to you. I'm like, of course it is. Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, it is. Because it's like when he would do something stupid or something, I would say, like, here's what I learned. He hated hearing that because, he liked to believe that he knew what was going on. At 16 years old, he knew what life was all about, and it's like you don't. You really, really don't. But you couldn't tell him that, and he realized that he kept making his own mistakes, but he insisted on making his own mistakes. He didn't want to learn from anything.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-mm.
And if we use our anchor topic, since we barely talked about anything but a video game, there's a lot of life lessons in Star Wars, for instance. But there's a lot of opportunity to see things like that in.
There is.
Yeah.
You never know when the chick you're making out with is going to turn out to be your sister. Wasn't that a life lesson from Star Wars?
Okay, so while I was setting up the podcast, if you've never seen it, there is a bad lip reading channel on YouTube. Anything that's on there is fucking hilarious, but I just discovered that he bad lip read Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, and I'd seen the first two. I was working on the third one when I realized I'm running out of time. I need to start the podcast. They're great. Jack Black is Darth Vader, and it's good stuff.
Everything Jack Black does is hilarious. He's pretty funny. He should have been in the new Star Wars movie. Yes, he should have. Even if it was a small part, or a janitor or something, or, I don't know. Not a main character, but definitely a little comedian guy on the side.
Kevin, did you see Force Awakens?
I have not seen that movie. I read the plot synopsis for it. I haven't actually gone to see it.
You're like the only person on the planet that hasn't seen it yet. Come on.
I've actually met people who have never seen any Star Wars movies.
Oh my god.
Well, I typically I read the entire plot outline for every movie before I see it, and I just haven't gotten around to seeing this one.
Well, it's great timing because now it's out on video. You can watch it from your fucking house.
Yeah, well, from what I've heard, it's basically just a rehashing of Episode 4, so...
That's my general consensus of the thing. So, I think you should watch it for yourself, though, instead of just... Ooh, what Bob got there?
Well, I mean, from reading the plot outline, it's the same thing, really.
I have it downloaded on my phone right now.
Oh god,
Yeah.
still doing that?
Where did you download that from?
It is a website called Showbox.
Oh,
And
got that from Showbox.
yeah, it's a really good app where it's free to. The app itself is free, and the downloads are free. And it's movies and TV shows. Yeah.
Well, the reason I asked about that is, do you know who the newest James Bond is? Either one of you, right?
I do not, but it'll be really easy to do a quick search.
Once you see him, you'll notice. His name is Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig is in The Force Awakens.
Daniel Craig?
Yeah, Craig.
Daniel. I spelled Daniel wrong. How the hell you spell Daniel?
Daniel.
I-E-L. Shit, that's what it is. There he is. He's the first one in IMDb. Damn it.
So yeah, he's in The Force Awakens. Now, I saw the movie and I didn't see him anywhere, so I was like, I don't understand where he's at. But when I got home and offline and several days later, I learned where he is at. So, Bob, you've seen the movie?
I have seen the movie.
And Kevin, you will see the movie, so you'll know to watch for this. But there is a scene where Rey is strapped to a table. It's an upright table, but it's still a table. And there's a stormtrooper that she has a conversation with, put it politely, without giving away anything. The stormtrooper that she talks to is Daniel Craig. The stormtrooper's designation is JB-007.
Wow. Okay, out of the first three classics, what are the original three? Which one was the best? Which one was your guys' favorites?
Empire.
I forget which one this was in, but the one where Leia let all the other slave girls die.
That was Jedi.
Yeah, that one.
Nice. I would have to say, you know what? I love the Ewoks. I kind of like the Endor fight.
The lightsaber battle in Jedi is my favorite of the original trilogy, but the movie overall, taking into account everything, I think Empire is the best.
Cool. Now, here's the unfortunate thing about the Star Wars series is that all the people who are old have watched 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and all the people who are young watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the order upon which, so the young people say, oh yeah, the first three were great, and then like the quality goes way down. And the old people are like, the first three are great, and then the next three really suck because the CGI in them are, you know, just because of the order that we watch it and what we're used to. Old guys don't like the CGI. We like the old classic shit. You know, the battleship where he totally pillaged from battleship models to make the Death Star trench that he's flying down.
I will admit that my favorite scene in any of the movies happens in Attack of the Clones.
Which is?
Which is the large-scale battle between the Jedis and the... It was all droids that they were fighting, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. The best scene in Clones is Yoda picking up his lightsaber, showing everybody exactly why he's the baddest motherfucking Muppet on the planet and the galaxy.
I loved that and all, but what I've always wanted, ever since I first saw any Star Wars movies, was a large-scale battle between Jedi and Sith. And that's the closest they've ever come to giving me that.
Right. There was a time when there was a lot of Jedi. They were pretty much the police of the galaxy, and once the Empire started wiping them out, they all went into hiding. That's why Yoda was living in a swamp instead of in a city. Is that they all had to go into hiding because they were being systematically destroyed by the Empire. Now, the problem I have with Yoda's little thing, even though it was amazing, it's like motherfucker comes walking out with a cane, and then he starts doing all this shit, and it's like, whoa, you're doing backflips and jumping off the wall, and this. Why are you even using a cane? Unless I have that trick knee that's sore sometimes, but yeah, I'm still a badass. Unless I don't know.
Well, it could be that. It could also just be that he doesn't want people to know that he can do all that.
Right. Yeah, but he even uses that cane when he's out, by himself in the swamp, which is years later from this. I mean, I don't know how many years after that fight that would have fallen, but
About,
if he's all by himself, he's using the cane.
I think it was about 16 to 20 years, something like that.
Say that again?
I think it was 16 to 20 years after that fight that the original trilogy happened.
Well, Sith happens 17 years before A New Hope. The Battle of Yavin happens, I want to say, 10 to 15 years after.
I was going to say, it can't be too long because it's basically Luke's life is the age of between, that's the time period, is however old Luke was at that point. Now, technically, they're actually humans, right? I mean, they have the same lifespan as us humans, even though they're aliens.
Wait, are we talking about the Jedi in general or Yoda's race specifically?
Not Yoda's, but because I was saying how it actually happens in Luke Skywalker's life.
Yeah, because
Skywalker, Han Solo. What's that?
Well, Yoda's race lives for thousands of years. I'm pretty sure that the humanoid Jedi, they have a lifespan that's either similar to human beings or only a little bit longer. Of course, they are Jedi, so they've got all kinds of magic ways to extend their lifespans. So
right. I mean, because there's a lot of humans in the Star Wars world, and I was just kind of curious about that. I mean, they are an alien. From our perspective, they are an alien race. So they look human. They're very humanoid, but are they literally humans?
Okay. I went to the authority, Wikipedia. The fight with Dooku, with the fight we're talking about, Yoda and Dooku, happened 22 years before A New Hope. So, knowing that, we've got 22 years, and then we go to, let's see here. 22 years, and then, so it happens, his fight with Dooku happens 26 years before he dies. So, and he says he's 900 years old. People are rounding up, so he's 880 in Clone Wars, or Clones.
yeah, And that's not even like super old for his race.
Now, what was it he said? Wasn't it when he was dying? He said like 900 years. You look, see if you look better, or something like that. I mean, didn't he say 900?
When 900 years old you reach, look as good you will not. God, I just completely geeked out. I'm sorry. That's just.
Well, all right. I mean, we're doing a show on Star Wars.
All right, so. All right. I like all of the saga. As much as I have an issue with things that happen in The Force Awakens, I enjoyed it for what it was. But it is lacking in one thing that really irks me, and that is a decent lightsaber fight.
Oh.
I was not impressed with the lightsaber fight in there. I would link that more with the A New Hope style. Like there was potential there, but you know, in A New Hope, it's two old men swinging lights at each other, really. So, yeah. But
Does that look better?
What?
Does that look better? I killed this light right here.
Yeah, actually, that's pretty. Yeah, Bob, you're the force is strong with you, Bob.
It is. Yeah.
So okay,
Getting stronger with every sip.
because I enjoy the whole saga. This is the order in which you should watch the movies in order to preserve. And I'll explain everything. You first watch Episode 4. You always start with Episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
Then you watch Episode 5. Then you watch 1, 2, and 3. Then you watch 6 and 7. The reason you do it in that order is because it preserves the surprise that Vader is Luke's father. Oh my God, spoilers! Then you go back and learn about Vader, and then you jump back into the current timeline.
So have that trilogy be a flashback, basically.
It basically becomes a flashback at that point. So to reiterate to everyone, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Now 7 has to go at the end because it's advancing into the future, and it doesn't rely on the need to have the other movies there. Honestly, that movie it could technically stand all by itself. I mean, I understand that Abrams couldn't do anything to appease. I mean, if he'd have done something to appease one group, he wouldn't have appeased anybody. So it was a total fan wank. But there was potential there.
It felt a little rushed to me. Like, there is that one point in 3 where you know where 4 is going to start. And 3 is going and going and going. And it's like, well, how the hell are they going to get here? And then all of a sudden, bam, 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 bam. Okay, you go here, you go here, you go here, you go here, and we're ready for 4, go. It just seemed very rushed there. Like, you knew where the characters had to end up due to the fact that you know what 4 is. And they had to get from 2 to 4, and it just seemed a bit...
Well, that's how the whole... And 7 seemed like the end of 3, like there were things moving too quickly, but it didn't have any substance. It's like they were just... Someone, and I can't believe this actually popped out of someone's mouth, someone literally said, well, 7's just setting up 8. But why the fuck do I care about 7?
Yeah. Ooh,
That's like me writing 2 books. The first book is only... Ooh, wait a second.
Deadpool's on there now, too.
Fuck Deadpool.
And which app is this, you said?
This is the Showbox app.
Spell that
It's
for
not available on everything, but it's definitely available on the Samsung phone.
So, while he's looking up Showbox, so that would be like me writing 2 books, telling you the first book does nothing but set up the second book. So then you would look at the first book going, why do I want to read this then? There's no story here, or there's so little story that it's all concentrating on the future.
That's true.
That's the one thing that Abrams fucked up, is he had to have a story and he didn't. He just, let's just set it up for the next one.
Well, one thing that I do is I am very big on, I like Star Wars to the point where if they were to have a cartoon of it, I mean, I haven't actually watched the cartoons yet because they do seem very childish and everything, but I do plan on watching them. I just haven't done it yet. But I'm a very, very big fan of the Star Wars thing. I got a couple of the comic books, but I didn't get enough in order to make any. There's a lot of comic books for Star Wars. But here's the thing, is that even in the books that I'm reading, in the beginning you've got the foreword where it like leads you up to it, and then at the end it has that part that like leads you into the next book before you even get there, knowing that when you get there they're just going to have another foreword on that one. But I read them anyways because it just seems like, I don't know, they put them there for a reason, and I want to know what it is.
Right? I'm by the way, I loaded up my game because I had some bonus energy, so I'm
I'm looking to see if you show up in here again because I'm totally going to use you. So there might be a time limit to the amount of.
I think you can only, like, if I have a friend named Alpha Whiskey, I believe his name is. He only shows up once. So when I see him, I use him because he only shows up in a specific area too. I can't use him everywhere.
Yeah, good guys and bad guys. Sometimes you show up with Sidious, and other times you show up with Luke Skywalker.
Well, that would be dark side, light side, but I don't understand why Skywalker. Skywalker's nowhere near my strongest light side character. What you eating?
I'm just gonna set up for auto and see what it does on its own. Where'd he go? He's like, fuck this, I'm downloading this game. Kevin.
Kevin. I'll try getting Kevin back. Wait, there he is.
There he is.
There's Kevin.
Found him.
Where did you go, Kevin? You didn't like us anymore? Here.
I lost network connection.
Son of a motherless goat!
Okay, we found him. Now this time I'm gonna hide and you guys find me.
Kitty, what are you doing? I'm on a podcast. You can't.
Ooh, another special guest.
Yes. I was asking Trisha why she was not on with us. She is busy serving mead.
Wow.
Bob, I had my first glass of mead yesterday.
What did you think?
I did not like it because it was dry. I have determined from drinking cider that I am a sweet, not dry person. So if you give me dry, I'm going to be less happy with you if you give me sweeter. So like the pineapple is sweet. It's not dry.
The trick is to add sugar at the end. The sugar at the end carbonates it while at the same time adding sweetness back to it. So that's the process I'm working on now. Now, one person who tried today said, it's a little weak. You need to add more alcohol to it. And I said, "What? You don't? I didn't add any alcohol to it. It's like, she said it was watered down and it needed more alcohol. I didn't add any alcohol to it. I said this was like, I made this. It creates the alcohol. Now there is ways of doing that where you make it stronger, both of which are illegal, using either a still or a freezing process, and both those are illegal to do. So, which I would think that a Jedi would not be allowed to drink. I would think that perhaps like some with his meal, but I don't think that if a Jedi was in a bar, he would probably be looking for a ride to some place, but never. I can't imagine. I'm sure they have very strict code of conduct. I know they do.
Now wait, Obi-Wan when in Clones and Obi-Wan and Anakin are chasing that bounty hunter flying through the sky, and I only realized this because I'm watching the fan edit. They find her in a bar, and Anakin goes, "Well, where are you going?" And he goes, "I'm gonna go get a drink." You're the Padawan. You can find her.
Wow. Wow.
So I don't think there's a drinking restriction.
Well, maybe not. Maybe not.
Anyone that's a warrior of any type, i.e., if you, for you and I, Bob, I don't know if Kevin was in, but I doubt it. We were in the Navy, and we both would partake in the drink on a regular basis, but we would never partake in drink if we knew we were going to be wielding weapons, because drink is not smart with weapons.
Right. Right.
So I would imagine the Jedi are the same way. You know, they're not going to be drinking and fighting, because that is stupid.
There's two of me. There's two of me. Can you hear the other me? Can you hear the other me?
I only see one of you, Bob.
Can you hear the other me? Can you hear the other me?
I can. No.
Yeah. I'm hearing two of me. I'm hearing two of me.
Really?
Which is awesome. Which is awesome.
Bob in stereo.
I was awesome. I was awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
So you have an echo, is what you're telling me?
I have an echo. I have an echo.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Oh, you guys do also.
Which means the interference is on.
On my thing.
No, I don't. That's not me.
Well, you're the only one without me.
Because I'm awesome. Do I help you, Bob?
I couldn't find you. I did this particular one. Maybe if I put headphones in, that helps.
We can start with that.
But yeah, I couldn't find you. I did use a different person. Let me try the headphones. If this doesn't work, it's not me. Maybe not. Maybe not. Because I can't hear you through the headphones.
You can't hear me through the headphones.
I can't hear anybody through the headphones.
Well, that's weird. That sounds like a Bob problem to me. Or a Bob room. So I watched a video the other night about Galaxy Heroes. I know we're going back to that, but whatever. And what he was doing was going through the Galactic War. He used the same crew for the entire war, and basically what happened was he used the same strategy for every fight. You can do whatever. He had an all-green lightsaber crew, so Qui-Gon, Luminara and Dooley, the Jedi Consular, I forget that weird guy's name with the forehead, and then he had another one. Yoda. He had Yoda. So same crew, the whole Galactic War. You could do whatever in the early part. You take out the high. You take out the high attack people. So you take out your Darth Sidious, for instance, first, because he's a high attack person. Mm-hmm. And then as the fight is winding down, first off, if you lose anybody, retreat. Do you know how to retreat, Bob?
I do not. I do not know how to do that.
So go into the Galactic War. You can have one character in there. It would be better to have an entire team. But go into the Galactic War.
Okay.
And then right above the auto button is a gear.
Oh, I do have an achievement. Complete dark side battle.
No, Galactic War doesn't have a dark side, light side. Oh,
right.
Do you have access?
No. I am down to 5.
Down to the final what?
Oh, I have 5 people. No healers. That's weird. I wish I could.
Can you restart it, or are you done restarting until like so many hours?
I think I can restart now.
Click restart now.
Hold on, I'm just about done with it. But when they came in, they only had.
The Galactic War doesn't reset health, so that also applies to your enemies.
Oh.
So if you have 15 characters and you send 5 bullet sponges in, but their entire goal is to take out one character, when all 5 of you are dead and their one character is missing, and you go in with a crew, your next crew of 5, that character is still missing, so you have your advantage. So if you're ever having a problem at a certain spot, retreat, put in a group of scrubs, and go right after the character that's giving you problems. Just hammer the shit out of that character.
Oh. See, the last time I used the headphones, as soon as I put the headphones in, it said that the headphones were in. I'm just not doing it now. Which only means one thing. Unfortunately, I don't know what that one thing is.
Okay, so when you're in the Galactic War, you have the little auto button that you hit to let the thing fight for you.
Yes.
Rule number 1: don't use that.
Oh.
Unless you've got the fight so wrapped up that there's nothing you need to be participating in.
Right, because they go very random, and focus fire is the key.
So if you click the gear right on top of that, it'll bring up 3 or 4 options. And in fact, I'll hit mine. The options are
retreat.
If you hit retreat, it'll ask you confirm retreat. And if you say yes, it'll back out as if nothing has happened. So you can lose 3 characters and you realize, oh shit, I can't go any further if I lose these guys. So just hit retreat. They're not dead.
Wow.
So if you have your A squad in, your 5 best characters, like I have 4 of my best characters in Qui-Gon in right now. And if at some point I lose one of my 5, if I can't advance without them, or if I don't want to lose that character, I'll retreat and I'll reevaluate how I attacked in the first place, because sometimes they won't, the enemy won't do the same thing twice. So you can be like, if you attacked Dooku and Dooku just wiped you out of the thing, if you going in the second time, I don't want to hit him, I want to save him for last. You shouldn't save him for last, by the way. You can retreat and start hitting someone else right away instead.
Right. Nice.
So, yeah, so like, if for some reason in the fight I was having right now, I was having a problem, or like Qui-Gon was almost dead and I don't want to lose Qui-Gon, I would retreat, and if it was something I could fix with the same characters, I would just go back into the battle and start over. If it was something that I couldn't fix with these characters, I would put 5 scrubs in and I would just hammer the shit out of the character that's giving me a problem.
Point, you can back out?
As long as your characters don't die, it has to be your turn, so you have to have at least one alive character, and yes, you can back out at any point in the fight.
Wow.
There have been fights I have gone into where all 5 of my enemies hit right away, and I haven't had a chance to do anything, and one of my characters is dead, and I'll back out right then and there. Be like, fuck that shit.
Yeah. Um, I'm not seeing anything about the headphone jack. Oh, damn it.
Are you still having an echo?
Yeah.
Man, that sucks. Do you want to jump off and try coming back in?
I can do that. I didn't have it at first, but are you still there?
Yeah, we'll be here. We'll
Okay.
wait for you. Kevin, have you loaded up your Star Wars Galaxy yet?
No, I haven't. Oh, god damn.
Come on, man.
I can't find you guys. Where are you?
I've been
Yeah, I
sitting
have it.
there watching you play my game. All right, I'll stop playing my game actively. I have a credits problem. I have not enough. So I've been credit farming because I just promoted 2 characters, which is 1,000,000 credits apiece. So I had just enough to do that. And I've been building up because I know Luminar is coming, but I also, now that I've got General Veers, I've got Darth Vader, and I need Qui-Gon to be a lot more powerful. Plus I have a terrible training droid issue. 1-star training droids, you can use 700 of them, and it only costs like 70,000 credits. You use 700 2 stars, it costs you 1.5 million credits. I don't understand where the discrepancy is so big. But, and I've got so many 2-star, I don't even know what to do with them. I hope they give me an option to sell them, because I need to sell a lot of them. I've got over 2,000. I also don't have any... What?
I'm gonna try this back.
Okay.
I will be right back, guys.
Gotcha. Woo! Woo! And Bob is gone, but Bob will be back. So yeah, when you sign up, we'll give you our ally codes, and you can write them down, and you can be our allies.
Okay.
You'll have to give us your ally code as well,
Alrighty.
and I'll tell you how to find that. So you're how many? You're like how many hours drive south of where I live?
Like 4, I want to say.
Woo! Can you more quickly get to California than you can to me?
Yes, actually.
All right. So then, ooh, Bob's back. Hello, Bob.
Back.
Yeah.
And I heard me echo again.
Bob, damn it.
Oh, damn it, is right.
Well, I will be as courteous as possible and try not to interrupt you in any way, shape, or form. Gentlemen, my drink is running low, so I'm going to have to get some replacement. I'm going to go with something other than pineapple cider, though, because I have some orange stuff, and I want to drink that.
I have not yet tried it.
Coney Island, we just found Coney Island makes it says orange cream ale, which really worries me. So I only put one in the fridge, and if it's got hops in it, I'm going to be very... You know what? I need to Google that shit before I even get up. Let me Google that for ya.
Man, our viewers are so lucky today. They get to hear me twice.
Actually, I don't know if it's going to show up in the broadcast in general, but I don't hear either one of you two echoing, which means, I believe, because I am the master feed, that they won't also hear the echoing.
Nice. Bob is awesome. Yeah, it's still really hearing people say that they've never seen the Star Wars movies. I just can't see how that's a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the storyline itself is great. The movies are awesome. The music alone are considered some of the best in modern history.
Yeah. Oh, son of a bitch!
Dilemma? It has hops.
I'm finding out, but I just saw the word. It's beer that's orange flavored, and that I will immediately not drink it at that point.
Well, the root beer says it doesn't have any in it. Okay, so we played our game of Star Wars. We've got the role-playing game of Star Wars. What other Star Wars is Dude, in addition to Star Wars, you can even have pod races.
Wait, what?
You were able to have pod races in the role-playing game.
Oh, and well, I've never. I understood that George had a hard-on for the pod racing, but I was like, yeah, I don't care. I'm all about the lightsaber, so that also helps. But I don't know. I didn't really care for the pod races.
Well, shit. There's a Jar Jar Binks. Some people, hearing that name go off like that motherfucker, but they're angry with the character. I didn't have issues with him. I thought he was funny. It's something that most people hate about him.
I didn't like him because he was annoying. I didn't. He doesn't ruin the movies for me, but I didn't care for him as a character. It's like, wait, let me do that again.
That's pretty good.
He's there. I deal with it. End of story.
I don't think I can go any further.
I don't think this has hops in it. I can't confirm that it has hops or not. In either case, I'm not going to drink it right. What?
Are you allergic to them?
I say that I'm allergic so that people don't offer me things with hops in them. So here's what happens. I can drink a sip of, let's just say, Budweiser. Okay, let's just pick a random beer, something with hops in it. I will get instantly nauseous, and I will remain sick for hours. Wow. Which is why I don't drink beer. Now, I did one night in high school power through an entire can of beer. I probably threw up for 2.5 hours, and then was sick the rest of the night after that. So anything I'd eaten or drank up to that point came up. I was that sick. So my best friend in high school, who we only knew as Smith, he stopped trying to get me to do beer because he realized it was just adversely affecting me. So that's where I figured out Dr. Peppermint, because I had no interest in beer because it smelled weird. Why do I want to drink something that you have to acquire a fucking taste for?
Right. See, I like to feel first. And one thing about me is I, too, can only drink one drink, but I can do that thousands of times.
Because I can acquire a taste for Kevin's fecal matter. But why would I do that? It's fucking disgusting. I'm going to go get more drink.
All right.
You know, I've always seen acquiring a taste for certain types of alcohol as like a form of Stockholm syndrome that you're forcing on yourself.
Right. like I don't know, like developing a weird habit. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Sometimes the headphones help. My headphones aren't even going, which is really weird.
I mean, I can understand acquiring a taste for some things, but
Do you know why I acquired a taste? Is if, like, let's say when your wife really likes you don't like it at first. The more you have it, you're like,
okay.
Yeah.
Bob, your audio is doing something weird, at least for me.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll hear you just fine, and then right when you finish your sentence, it dips down and it makes it sound like you're tonguing the underside of the balls of a very large man.
Which, just for the record, is not Kevin, say something.
But if I do, it'll just echo like yours.
Does his sound like the balls thing too?
His hasn't started doing that, so it made me. If it's an echo thing, I mean, I guess it's possible, but it's his is clear. I mean, his takes a second or two, like a half second to ramp up, and then he's fine. But it's like you'll be talking, and then right before you're done, it'll dip down, and it'll sound like you're gargling the testicles of a large man. Hey, speaking of the Yoda fight, I'm about to witness it on this fan edit.
Cool.
So when you put your earbuds in, you don't hear anything? Yeah, I mean, you don't...
Like nothing is coming out of the earbud.
Are you putting it in the right hole?
There's only one. I'm going to try doing something on my phone with the earbuds in and make sure it's making the issue. Yeah, I can hear that through here. So these are okay.
Okay.
So there's got to be a computer.
What kind of computer do you got, Bob?
What the hell are you?
It's a what?
A Dell?
Ah, gotcha. So, okay, so where do the speakers pop out of the computer that you hear the sound on a Dell?
I don't know. Say something.
Okay, so they're coming straight up, or are they like bouncing off the monitor?
It sounds like it's bouncing off the monitor.
Okay, so maybe you want to extra tilt your computer. I don't know. Why are we having this problem this time, and we have never had this problem before?
I didn't have the problem earlier. When we first started, I didn't have the problem.
It's fucking weird.
There's something in settings. All right, hold on here.
Now I heard the echo.
How's this sound? Oh, still echoing. Hello now?
Yeah.
But you're not gargling the testicles of a large man anymore.
Okay, still nothing.
I would like to point out that we had a viewer until I said that, and then they disappeared.
Wow.
Welcome, viewer. We are working on some audio issues. We will get back to the topic in a minute. But, Bob, I think that if you gave me... tell me about what flavors you're making of cider right now.
I've got a cinnamon. And one is cinnamon, orange, and allspice, and I don't know how to pronounce that shit.
All right, so what I wanted you to do was basically test your audio so I could hear what you are. It is dipping down, but it's like a random dip now. It's not like at the end of a sentence. I don't know. I'm confused. Maybe you want to reboot?
I could try it.
Kevin and I can vamp.
Let me check this other.
All right.
Devices.
You watching porn over there? Is that what's going on?
Who?
Kevin. Oh, he's got a V. Well, what are you playing?
Final Fantasy 14 right now.
Oh, wait. That comes on PlayStation?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, on your PlayStation.
Look, this is how out of the loop I am with MMOs, people. I didn't know that Final Fantasy 14 was on PlayStation. I thought it was a computer. Like I have been so far out of the computer loop. Like I can't play games on a Mac because that's just something you can't do. And I'm fine with it because I don't want to spend hours on a laptop hitting keys and.
Well, 14 is actually PC, Mac, PS3, and PS4. And it's cross-platform, so no matter what you're playing on, you can play with anyone else who has it.
Okay, here's something I just tried, guys. Sorry to interrupt with you talking. I just tried muting mine. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay, what I need Kevin to do then is Kevin, you need to say something and let me know if it still echoes.
Okay. Yes, it still is.
Was it still echoing?
Yep.
Okay, I'm back. Was it echoing when Kevin got mine on?
I'm still hearing an echo from both of us.
And I'm not hearing an echo from either one of you. That's so fucking weird.
Oh, mine's not echoing. Oh, there it is. Okay,
so there is one thing that I'm doing. Sorry, viewer. There is one thing that I'm doing differently that I don't normally do. The laptop is actually physically on my lap, whereas normally I have it on a stand sitting right in front of me, and I can pull the table real close. So why don't I put it on the stand to see if it being against my gigantic ass belly is the problem. So I'm gonna go get the stand. Hang on.
Okay.
Oh, that picture right there. Well, it lights up, but we shut it off because it's we don't want the battery to die.
That's cool. My echo doesn't sound as bad right now. It's still pretty bad.
Yeah, it sounds like DJ's that his speakers are picking up what we're saying for some reason.
That might be it. You should try your earphones. Everybody things. I don't know why my earbuds are You should try headphones, DJ.
I will actually do that. I need to find them. So first off, does this fix anything?
No.
Okay.
It's not as loud.
It's not as loud?
It did sound as loud as I was. Like it was two of me, and now it's just kind of a distant voice.
Okay, well, I also turned my volume down, but we'll, let me... We'll put on my Beats headphones.
Yeah, because it kind of sounds like for some reason your microphone is picking up more than it usually does.
Alright. Well, that's awesome. Maybe I need to reboot. Unfortunately, if I do that, I will lose this capability to join this, and we will go offline. We don't want that.
Yeah, let's try the headphones.
Okay, Kevin.
Yes.
You have not seen Leia Star Wars movie, but you are aware that Leia is in it, right?
The new one, yeah.
Yes. Dude, I'll tell you what, guys. I feel so bad. Oh, no echo.
Yeah, it's fixed now.
It's me. God damn it.
That's all right, man. You look good in headphones.
I like the powder blue.
Powder
Or is
blue.
that green?
It looks green.
These are green, buddy.
Oh.
Woo! I don't do anything powder blue.
Okay, actually it looks kind of like seafoam green to me.
I would say that's going to be hard to explain. Think of Kelly Green, really. That's the best. The lighting in my house right now is my wife likes to. God damn it, Cat! Stop it! Fucking keeps unplugging my goddamn computer. She's done it 3 times now, and I'm tired of plugging it back in. Anyway. Okay. My wife likes to use our 3 fluorescent bulb ceiling fan light. The thing is ungodly bright. So I don't like. I use it for the podcast when she's cooking because it gives me enough light. But right now, I've got 3 lamps around the room turned on, and I call this the submarine look, which is just enough light to operate by and enough light to see stuff, but you're not so overwhelmed that it's too bright. So if I were to turn on the ceiling fan right now, I could show you that. Actually, I can do that. I'm going to put the headphones down so I can't hear you. Just keep that in mind.
All right, what can we say about DJ right now?
You bald.
All right. Our ceiling fan has a remote control. You'll love this. Okay, so here, right now, I got the what I call the submarine look going on. Right, submarine look. There's a light right there, obviously, but let the lights warm up. But I just turned on the ceiling fan, and I can see the wood grain on the laminate hardwood.
It did brighten up a little, yeah.
Yeah. And they're still in because they're the coily fluorescent bulbs. They need a second or 2 to warm up. But yeah, they're getting bright now.
Well.
Yeah, I don't like the super bright. Sorry, viewers, for not talking about Star Wars, but we just figured out what the problem was. So, let's get back to my dimly lit room. Cat, please don't give me the crazy eyes. All right. We have a viewer that keeps popping in and out, but we got 1 viewer on a regular basis here. So, let's get back.
I have not yet played that video game that, the Star Wars video game, where depending on the deeds that you do brings you into the dark side, light side thing, and then you have different storylines for different. I haven't played that yet.
Like Knights of the Old Republic?
Yeah, I've heard about it, but I have not played it yet. I probably won't.
I started playing it, and then the Old Republic came out, the MMO, that I started playing that instead. My problem is the only place I've got to play the Knights of the Old Republic is my phone, because I downloaded it as an app, and it doesn't make me happy that it's on my phone. Like, it's a chore to operate in the Star Wars world on my phone.
Oh.
The Knights of the Old. Yeah, I was really gigged when the price went down. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. So I got it, and I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, I did feel really bad for Carrie Fisher though. I thought that when she showed up in the movie, I'm like, awesome, it's Leia, and I was there. I was very happy to see that. And then, like, the next day, seeing people on Facebook and, like, the reviews and all this stuff, I felt so bad for her. Everybody was like, she's old and she shouldn't. They were really, really bad-mouthing her. And it's like, wait, what's wrong with her? She's like, there was nothing wrong with that at all. She didn't have the body that she had when she was a kid. Yeah, because she was a kid.
But the thing here is my issue with what they did to her. I won't say that this is necessarily her fault, but because my wife has been near her in person, this is not far from the truth. What they did to her in the movie was catastrophically terrible, and that was let's frost the lens slightly, let's have her tilt her head, have that stupid smile on her face, and then have her say something that accentuates the fact that she has had massive plastic surgery to remain looking as young as she has. Because she basically says this the whole time. Hi, hon, it's nice to see you. Freaky.
Right.
But it's frosted, and her head is tilted.
Yeah, one of the things that pisses me off about how Hollywood treats the female actors way more than the male actors, I've noticed, is they pretty much require plastic surgery to allow you to even be there because, you know, you have to look perfect all the time, always. And then after all of that, people bitch about them having gotten plastic surgery, even though they only had to get the plastic surgery because of your stupid ideals of beauty.
Right. And some people who are out there all the time don't have that. It doesn't look natural. You guys seen the Santa Claus movie, right? The second one, where I think it was the second one, where they had like a toy version of Tim Allen, and he was obviously made of plastic. Okay, well, dude obviously looked like, and you look at like Kenny Rogers, and he looks like he's made of plastic now. Yeah, it's just.
The most recent example I've seen is Sharon Osbourne, Ozzy's wife.
Mm-hmm.
On the Osbournes TV show, she was older, yes, but she looked fine. Now she's on The Talk or The View or one of those lady shows where they sit around a table and yammer on about something. And she looks like a plastic doll whose mouth moves every once in a while. She's got no emotion on her face, but she looks weird, and there's no reason for her to do that. She had already been on TV in a natural state. Why would you do that?
Right. Now you look at Han. Han didn't get any shit. I didn't hear anybody bitch about him, and he looks a lot older than. If you had them side by side, I would say that Han looked older.
I do a great Harrison Ford impression.
Oh, I want to hear it. Let's see. Go.
Chewie, go get my walker. We need to get the Falcon off the floor. What are you doing? Put my steak down.
Wow, that's almost like a zombie solo.
He doesn't open his mouth. If you watch Harrison Ford talk in interviews, it's the way.
Hey, don't pester me. And then, of course, George Lucas has this kind of weird sound.
Cat, what are you doing? She is biting me for no reason.
Bite her back. Now, George Lucas, I guess, is like regretting very much from the way it sounded, selling his shit off to Disney, because now he's got no say in anything. He's got no, like, he's like, I've got these visions, and you guys need to take my visions and put it on the screen. And they're like, fuck your visions. Which, Fuck Your Vision is a TV studio in the future called Fuck-A-Vision.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, everybody bitched and moaned. George did everything all different. George is the problem. We need to get rid of George. Now that we got rid of George, everybody's like, we need George back. Oh, my God, this is terrible.
Well, yeah, you can't have three people in the history of mankind decide on 2 pizza toppings. How the hell are they going to decide how Star Wars is made?
To be fair, with George Lucas, he really did understand like the combination that was needed of both really good special effects and piss-poor acting to make the movies work.
Yeah.
What we have learned, if we have learned anything, is that while A New Hope was something new and fresh, as soon as he turned the dialogue and directing over to someone else, the franchise got better. He went back and wrote all the dialogue himself for, I think, both Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Gave the dialogue to somebody else. Sith is remarkably, in my opinion... Well, okay, let the cat out of the bag. Sith is the best movie of all 7. Let me just say that right off the bat. So, Sith is remarkably better than both Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. And I like them all. If I had to rank them, though, my top one is Sith, My second is Empire, and that pisses some people off. Because, oh, you're a heretic. You don't put the original trilogy on top. Sith has everything we want in a fucking Star Wars movie, you jackass.
Lightsaber.
Everything. It's got the two of the best lightsaber battles in the entire fucking series.
I think that George Lucas did a great job, and I'll tell you why. Because he's probably sitting at home right now, watching one of those viewers, maybe him, where he wants to know what people are saying about his movie because he's like so sad. So George, if that's you watching, good job. If not, it really sucked. So no, just kidding. It was great. It was a great movie. I liked it. I don't know why his philosophy of a movie is never finished. I disagree with that. When he wrote the original, and it was great. I mean, it's lasted throughout the time, the last 40 years or 30, I don't know how long it's been out. It's lasted. He changed it when the times changed. He put in a little of the artificial stuff, the CGI. It did make it better. When they show the side-by-side scenes where you're going past windows and stuff, and it's showing the city in the background, it was great. He had that ability. He used that ability. So it's not like he's going back and changing every 5 years. He's redoing the movies and changing stuff. This was like he made the movies, and 15, 20 years later, and that's a guess because I don't know, but he did this thing where he went through them again, and he made them better. Doing that every 5 years wouldn't have worked. Huh?
Well, okay. On your point, and then I'll tell a funny Star Wars story. You know what? Change the visuals all you want. If you don't think the visual looks correct, do whatever you want to it. But to remove the songs and the sounds that everyone associates with a specific scene, for instance, I will never, ever, ever enjoy the song that replaced whatever was in Jabba's palace the first time. I don't care what he wants the Ewok celebration to sound like. The fucking song is Yub Nub. Leave it alone. Okay, so having said that, I don't like the new songs, but the visuals don't bother me at all. Funny Star Wars story. Bob and I are in the Navy, Kevin. Mm-hmm. Did you know that? We were in the Navy?
Yeah.
During our time in the Navy, George Lucas released the Star Wars A New Hope Special Edition, the Empire Special Edition, and the Jedi Special Edition. And there was this super awesome theater that we had to go to, so Bob and I went to go see Star Wars A New Hope. I'm not sure exactly at what point I fell asleep during that movie, but I fell asleep during the movie. Not because the movie was boring, but because I was fucking tired. So when the movie's over, Bob wakes me up. And I look at Bob and I say, "How did you let me sleep through that fucking movie?" And he goes, "You looked tired." So I said, "You're an asshole. Don't, when Empire comes out, if I fall asleep, you wake me the fuck up."
I don't remember that. Sounds like something I would do, though.
I made it maybe a half hour into. I didn't make it very far into New Hope because when I saw the special editions on Blu-ray or DVD or whatever the fuck format we'd seen them on, it was like, oh wow, I missed all kinds of shit. So then we go he released them week after week after week. So the very next week, Bob and I would get in line, we'd go see Empire. I maybe made it 15 minutes into the movie, and I was out. And then once again, at the end of the movie, Bob wakes me up, "Hey, we gotta go." But we just did this last week. I told you, don't let me sleep in, fucker. Well, you looked tired. I always look tired. I want to watch the fucking movie.
Usually what I'm doing is watching the fucking movie. I'm not paying attention to anything else. Every once in a while, you'll do that thing where, and you'll lean over and you'll say something to the person next to you, and if they don't respond, you're like, what do you do, right?
After A New Hope, I warned you about Empire, and both times you responded with, "You look tired." So
you gotta watch a movie like this.
So then we go to Jedi, Bob having been thoroughly warned not to let me fall asleep because I think it was like $12 to go to that movie theater because it was that awesome, and that was a lot of money back then. So I spent $24 to sleep through 2 movies. I could have slept at home for free. So we get in and we get into Jedi. I didn't make it through the fucking crawl. I don't remember anything past the crawl. Wake up at the end. Bob actually wakes me up for the Ewok celebration at the end where they're flying over all the when they're doing the new song or what. I don't remember what the goddamn special.
I don't remember this. This like I'm an asshole.
So I finished the movie as the credits were rolling. I finished the movie like this. Had it not been like 6 or 7 miles from where we lived, I'd have made Bob walk home. I really would have.
I know the one movie I watched. Another friend of mine, Adam. But I might have seen that one like multiple times. But yeah, I don't remember that. That's crazy because the movie theater was like right on the other side of the fence from his apartments.
Okay, so I was about to ask you if that was the Adam. Yes, it is the Adam. It's a non-Star Wars related story, but I could tell it if you'd like me to, Bob.
Oh, that's okay. It's all
right. It's your story, but that's another case. What it relates to is me sleeping while Bob's doing interesting things. Just to say that. Apparently, I couldn't go to that part of fucking Gulfport, Mississippi, without falling asleep because I was constantly sleeping over there.
Yeah, that was interesting. But
now what? Because we weren't. I don't know if we were even. No, I don't think I'd spoken to you for quite a while. What were you guys doing when they? Basically, when Phantom Menace was announced, did you think this is going to be the newest, biggest thing in the history of the world?
When Phantom Menace came out?
Yeah. Because it had been like 30 years since Star Wars was on a movie theater? For new?
I knew I was excited as hell about it. I knew that... I didn't think that it was going to be like the new thing, but it was very much a... the next... I don't know. It was about time, you know? It's like... It's about fucking time we get another Star Wars thing out here. You can't start something with episode... Right there in the very beginning, it's got episode 4 written there. So, why would you think...
That was added when the movie, when they knew they were going to make more. He added that in. So the very first time Star Wars was ever on the scroll, there was no episode.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember that back then, anyways. But I don't. My parents did not let me watch Star Wars when I was young.
Well, Star Wars. The Star Wars I'm talking about was the one from 1977, and if you remember that, got issues.
Yeah, I was not allowed to watch Star Wars when I was young at all. So all 3 of the original ones, I did not watch them until Gulfport, Mississippi, just because I just never had a desire to watch Star Wars because I didn't realize the awesomeness of it. And then for some reason I watched it and I was like, well, that's fucking amazing. The reason I was not allowed to watch Star Wars is because my cousins watched it and everybody watched Star Wars, and my parents didn't have a whole lot of money. The kids, my cousins, and like so many people, everybody had the Star Wars toys because they saw the movie and they now want all of the toys. My parents did not want to tell me no because they didn't want me to be upset by saying, like, I know you want these toys, but no, you can't have them. So they simply didn't let us watch the movies. We never asked for the toys. We never wanted the toys because we never saw the movie. It's like totally genius, but when I first heard that, well, yeah, we didn't let you watch that when you were young. And I'm thinking, but why? I mean, there was nothing wrong with that. And when they explained that to me, I was like, well, that's fucked up, but smart. I don't know.
Your parents should have done what my parents did, and that was you had to get the 1 or 2 action figures that were specific. You had to have like the Jedi Luke Skywalker because that was the thing. You had to have Chewbacca because that was the thing. But other than that, because every single character got their own action figure, just grab a random action figure. Hey, look at that. I don't think I ever owned a Han Solo.
Well, let me grab a piece of gum here. Hold on a second.
Where were you at, Kevin? When or what were you doing when were you what were you thinking when Phantom Menace came out? What did you think it was the new big shiny?
When Phantom Menace came out, I think when it came out, I was actually staying with my grandma for the summer.
Bob, I got your video up. Go ahead, sorry.
And at the time, what year did that come out?
1999. I want to say 99.
Okay, so I was 7 at the time.
Mm.
And so, I mean, I had never seen any Star Wars movies before. I was vaguely aware of what Star Wars was, but I had never really seen any Star Wars movies. So I went and saw it, and it was just amazing to me because it was the first real sci-fi movie I had ever really watched.
So you are literally of a different Star Wars generation than me and Bob.
Yeah.
Wow. I'll Google the year, but okay, see, now we can get a whole new perspective, Bob.
Yeah. Well, what is the first movie that you guys remember ever watching at the movie theaters?
Ghostbusters.
What about you, Kevin?
First movie I remember ever seeing
At a movie theater.
at the movie theater was The Emperor's New Groove.
Wow.
That is, I have to take that back. I gotta look it up. Go on.
Because I was a kid at the time, and my aunt took me to go see it for my birthday or something.
For me, Dark Crystal.
Wow. And for the viewers out there, yes, Phantom Menace came out in '99. All right, so I got to go to my IMDb app.
IMDb, great site, huh?
Yeah. Damn it. No. How about just Google movies from 1982?
I have gotten so many Star Wars things. I mean, I got Star Wars stuff all over the house. From the Darth Vader cups. Everybody's got a Darth Vader cup, right? But I had a Darth Vader bank when I was in the military, where every time you put a coin in, Darth Vader would talk and he'd move around and stuff. I have at one point I had this thing. It was pretty cool. It was a black case that had the Star Wars symbol on it, and it was like a little Star Wars adventure that came in a book. And then every month you get a new book sent to you. And so you could just keep playing these adventures that are being sent in the mail. What's that? Hold on a second. Let me pull up your little image here.
That is Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan. That is the first movie I remember seeing in a theater.
Wow.
I went because I knew I had seen a movie in 1982, so I looked through the list to see the earliest one that I had seen. Now, I have seen almost all of the movies on this list, which is sad, before Wrath of Khan, but not in the theater. Like Rocky 3 came out that year. I didn't see Rocky 3 in the theater. Let's see, the Tag the Assassination Game. I love that movie. It's cheesy as hell, but I love it. I didn't see that in the theater. I've seen Porky's, I don't know how many times. I didn't see that in the theater. That's really I mean, there were other things that came out after that, but God, I am fucking old.
We didn't do a whole lot of theater watching then.
No, that was
Okay.
Oh.
Sorry, I was going to say, I just realized Emperor's New Groove actually came out the next year after Phantom Menace, so it was actually The King and I, the cartoon movie, was the first movie that I saw in theaters, which was like 4 or 5 months before The Phantom Menace.
Oh.
Wow. Anyway, the small town I came from, and to let you all know how small that was, around the time that I was in Beulah, North Dakota, I would say that there were 3,100 people there. One theater, one screen.
Huh.
So when a movie was in town, god damn it, it was a fucking event. Everybody went.
That's cool.
I don't know when. I saw Jedi in the theater. It's the only Star Wars It was the first Star Wars it came out on '83. It was the first Star Wars I had seen in the theater. Is that a minion?
There's a couple of the Easter eggs that were made at my brother's house today.
Sweet.
A minion and Captain America.
I'm not going to get into this, but for those that know the backstory, because I don't have children at the moment, I don't do anything Eastery. Like Easter, I don't have any reason to dye eggs, and small children annoy me. Holy shit, I think I saw one fucking movie in the entire year of 1983. That's sad. Well, I have to say that Dad was a bit of a tight ass with the cash, but you know what? I benefited in the end. That's horrible to say. Horrible. So.
We had Feast today in our Amp Guard thing. Kevin, if you haven't heard what Amp Guard is, we dress in medieval type clothes and we beat the shit out of each other with foam weapons. Great.
So it's LARPing.
Exactly. Yep.
It's full contact LARP. That is a perfect way to put it.
It's mostly battle games. We try to get some occasionally role-playing type in, but normally, like today, there's no... I'm now in office again. I'm a regent of the park. But there's not much of a role-play thing other than out there, a lot of people call me Kane. My name out there is Kane Walker. And that's about the only thing role-play style that occasionally we'll do quests or whatever, but yeah, normally it's just battle games.
Man, I miss LARPing. It was fun.
I never LARPed, and I've always wanted to.
Totally should.
It is super fun.
In fact, there's a guy who is not far from you now, who's coming here to live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Does he have a suitcase large enough, maybe DJ-shaped, that you can maybe like climb into? And
Let me say right off the bat that while I would love to visit Bob in Indiana, it would not be during the winter months, and I would not want to move there because of the winter. If you notice, the common thread there is snow. Because if I want to see snow, goddammit, I will look to the east at Mount Hood, because that's as close as I want to be. Which has a lot of snow on it.
Today.
You have a pool?
Yeah. Why would I have a pool?
You bastard. You killed Kenny.
Yeah, and I'll do it again.
Son of a bitch.
Next week.
I find it funny that you're jealous of him having a pool when I'm sitting here. I don't even have a house.
I live in a glorified apartment. It's a condo. I have it's as much room as I need, but I have an annoying upper neighbor, and thank God I'm the lowest floor. But there's a garage below, not a garage, but a parking place below me. And of course, when people come home, no one knows how to shut their fucking car doors quietly. So and I swear to God, there is one person that lives in this building that's like they can't get their car doors shut, or they're really pissed off at everybody because they'll come home, they'll get out, they'll slam the door. They'll open it and slam it again, slam it again, slam it again, slam, 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 and then they leave. And it's like, you didn't need to slam your fucking car door 6 times. You only have 4 doors on the goddamn car. Why did you need to slam 6 times? That's 2 more times than you needed. Math. Learn it.
Math. What we do.
It's got some anger issues. My drink is out, people. I need to go get another one. Wait here.
I'm still working on mine, but I do have kind of a large one here.
Well, but you went with the hard alcohol, whereas I did not go with the hard alcohol. But I'll be right back.
Okay.
Kevin, keep him interested.
Yeah. Mad.
So, what kind of video games do you typically play?
Well, as far as my systems go, we got a Wii U down here, and we also have, I think, a PS3. But most of my games that I play are on my DS, my little handhelds. And I do have a small card that goes into my DS that allows me to play. At one point, I had like just shy of 200 games downloaded onto my DS, which was great. Unfortunately, you can only use that on the DS Lite, the newer systems, the DSi, and the 3DS. Constantly updates, and every time it updates, it changes it to where you can't play burnt games. So you have to like download a new system to operate on it. So I don't play a whole lot of games on the system. I was doing the whole Minecraft thing for a while on the computer, and also a Pokemon Live game I play on here because I am a 40-year-old man who likes to play Pokemon.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like DJ plays a lot of console games either. So.
He plays the sports ones though. Soccer and stuff like that. He does play the sports ones. But I have an issue with it, and it's not bad. It's just I do like the role-playing type ones. There's a Dungeons and Dragons style one, and DJ's back. But the ones with the storyline, you go through and you kill people and you do like things. I do like those on any system. So like the Final Fantasy ones, I like any type of thing where you hit somebody with a sword. Now that I think about it.
So what was the question, so I can join in?
Video game.
Yeah, I was asking what kind of video games you play.
I seem to have some sort of addiction to Mortal Kombat because I did spend quite a bit of my childhood in arcades. For those of you that don't know what an arcade is, you had to have physically gone to a place to play video games in a big cabinet. The controller was built in. So, because
as long as it was free, that's cool.
It was not free. You paid a quarter. So I became really good at Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 2, and I was fairly good at Mortal Kombat 3. And then you had consoles. But Mortal Kombat I have an addiction to, so if I see that the new game comes out and the storyline looks awesome, I have to buy it. I don't... we bought Mortal Kombat X, for instance, and I haven't played it in fucking months because I don't understand why. I tend to play a lot of sports games, but the missus and I, when we play together, it's like Lego. So we got Lego Marvel Superheroes right now. And Bob, as an update, that I told you off not on a show that I was playing FIFA and I couldn't get past this one point ever because I always bought the new game and I never finished. I'm way past that point.
Nice. Isn't that weird how you can do, you keep playing something, over and over and over again, and you only get to that one point, and then all of a sudden you get past that point, and you go so much further, and it's like, what the hell?
Yeah. And okay, so for those that know soccer, I set up the English Premier League system with all the teams that I care about and the Premier League teams, and then I put myself in the lowest of the 4 tiers, and I play a season to get myself promoted, with the goal of eventually playing in the Premier League, and I never make it past the 20th game of Football League 2 ever, because it kind of tapers off and I never play past that. Well, I spent some time at home recently, and I got to play a whole lot, and I'm not only finished with the first season, but I am 2 or 3 games into the second season. I have been promoted, and I am noticing that my wife gives me a hard time for how low I have the difficulty setting, and I explained it away as, I don't want to play this game to be aggravated all the time. I want to play this game because I'm escaping. Well, I haven't changed the setting at all, but I am now in a higher level of competition at the same level, difficulty level, and I'm having a much harder time doing what I was doing the first round. So I have definitely got the settings correct, because if it keeps going up like this, I don't know if I'm going to be very good when I get to the top tier. Like, I might suck ass if I get to the top tier. That's not Star Wars related, though. Speaking of the fan edit, we are now in the Mace Windu Darth Sidious lightsaber fight. One of the 2 best fights in the entire series.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's been scientists who, or not even scientists, a regular person, probably, teenager, late teens or whatever, and they went and saw that first Star Wars movie. They immediately changed their career to scientists and have been trying to make lightsabers ever since. Now,
it's apparently possible, but it's very improbable.
From what I understand, they've gotten to the point where they have lightsabers now. However, now I don't know if there's any truth to this. Supposedly they have ones that have the beams that don't go out too far, and they can cut through stuff, and then not quite like they do in the movies. But the problem is that they pass through each other. You can't stop a beam of light.
Well, that's what Neil deGrasse Tyson said, is that if you did practical lightsabers, the problem is getting them to contact with each other, which is not a practical thing to happen with a sliver of plasma, basically, is what the lightsaber comes down to being.
Well, not just that, but I mean, one of the first things I learned when I was learning fencing is that the point is not to ever block the sword, it's to not be where the sword is going. So.
Well, there are different forms of lightsaber battles, lightsaber fighting techniques, and some of them, I mean, if you dig into them a little bit, it's not all the Jedi fight the same. So like Yoda, for instance, is a very rare practitioner of whatever form of lightsaber battling he practices, because of all the flips and the spins and the yada yada yada. Whereas other people are more, hey, I'm just going to go back and forth, and every once in a while I go down and just make sure I'm not getting stabbed or cut in half.
Right. See, it's like with actual swords, you never block a sword with another sword. But like the worst possible thing you can do.
But the swords you used for fencing had hilts, am I correct?
Had what?
Hilts? H-I-L-T?
Yes. The thing is, if you're going to stop a sword with a hilt, you're already losing.
It's not dramatic to just constantly not hit another sword, Kevin.
Right. I mean that's why they do it in the movies, is because it's all dramatic and it looks cool. In reality, it's a lot of dodging, and that's what shields are for, if you actually need to stop another sword.
Yeah, I've got a shield. I have learned a lot of fighting stuff when it comes to the because of the amp guard that I play. Unfortunately, one issue that we have is that my weapons are usually pretty heavy. I have a great sword that's really great, but it's heavy, and a lot of the people have heavy weapons.
Is it great, Bob, or is it just big?
It's big and great.
Whatever.
I believe that, see, the classifications is you've got the long sword, the great sword, and then, like what mine is, where it actually falls into the next category, which is the fucking awesome sword. So, it has,
Isn't the next category above longsword bastard sword?
That's a sword that doesn't know who made it.
Not in this game. And They call it that because you get hit by it, and you're like, you bastard. Penny. But,
That's a sword
yeah.
that doesn't know who its daddy is. Come on.
There's people who have these weapons that are like huge weapons, and they're really so very light that they can hold them by the very, very, well, like the very, very end of them, and like, so they can hold it up like this, and they're able to drop that blade down so fast that there's no way that somebody with a regular weapon can hit them at all, because they are like crazy fast. I like the more of a realistic-ishness.
Do you remember when the lightsabers first came out that you could like flick and then the blade came out, Bob?
Yes.
Okay.
I've had a few of those.
We each bought a green and a red one, and I don't think they had blue ones at that point. So we each bought a green and a red one. And we ended up giving one, it goes back to Adam, we ended up giving one to Adam, and we were going to, the whole point was we were going to lightsaber fight. And Adam took Kevin's theory of approach here as, I am fencing while you two are idiots. So Adam simultaneously ruined the fun of what we were doing and was a pompous ass. While we had made it known that we are not, this is not a fucking competition, Adam. We're playing with flashlights with fucking plastic at the end. And he was all about doing fencing stuff because he knew how to fence too. And I was like, I don't like Adam. In fact, I didn't like Adam very much anyway. But you liked him, so I kind of put up with it.
I liked his wife. But there was
oh, like he's gonna watch this fucking show. He doesn't even know who he is. We haven't used the last name yet.
But they had a. I remember the one time we were watching a Star Wars movie because we were roommates. We lived in a big studio apartment. So I'm on my bed. I'm falling asleep. Star Wars is on TV. All of a sudden, DJ jumps onto my bed. He's standing with one foot on either side of me, and he's got his lightsaber pointed right next to my head. He's wearing his military gas mask. He's wearing the poncho cape. He's got like all this military gear on to make him look. He's like, Bob, I am your father. And it was like, so I immediately, being me, had my lightsaber on my bed with me, was able to grab it, and the fight started. We were like, I went from being asleep into like mid-lightsaber battle, like bam. That was pretty cool. I was not expecting that. I mean, I'm falling asleep, and then all of a sudden, there he is with this lightsaber in my. I was just so not expecting that. To wake up to that, no way.
We got a question, Bob.
We do. What is it?
From Glued Spirit. Now, I'm not sure that Glued Spirit is watching as live as we are right now, but he said, you're right, it's bullshit. Lucas re-edited the sound for the 1997 special edition of the original trilogy. So, I don't know how far ago for us that was. I know that there's always a delay, but that seems like a really big delay to me.
We were talking about that a long time ago. So sorry, Glued Spirit, about the delay in the response here.
Yeah, we literally just got it, so I wanted to cut us and say that. So thank you for sending that in, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, go with it. So yeah, we were lightsaber fighting.
The CGI song and the not just the with that alien girl with her lips out here. What the fuck? I mean, talk about ruining a classic movie. That right there was terrible. They should never have put that scene in there. I mean, obviously I didn't like it.
Lopty Neck is the original. I like Lopty Neck. I don't like... Oh! I guess maybe Glued Spirit is with us, because now I got to... Sorry, this is off topic, I know. It's okay. It's okay. We very rarely have a theme, and the last two shows I wanted to have an anchor topic, and I believe the anchor topic is working. Every once in a while, I like to just wander with you, Bob, and now Kevin. I'm a little sad we didn't have any food being made because when I got home, I was fucking hungry.
See, I have just so much egg salad.
Why would you have egg salad?
My roommate had her kids over, but since Easter is tomorrow and she has to take them back home tomorrow, they did the eggs early. So we just have tons of egg salad.
That would make sense.
You know, back when I was a kid, the eggs would be... my parents would hide the eggs the night before, and they would be out, like, hidden in the house all night long. We would find them. They would be in our baskets for days, and they would eat the damn things. Sometimes they would find their way to the fridge or whatever. There was never a problem with them. Although by that time, the coloring has now, like, gone into the egg. Whatever color the shell was, now the egg was that color.
Oh my God.
They say that you're not supposed to do that at all. Well, people would do the thing where they would they'd bring their lunches to work, those big old black lunch boxes that everybody had, and hard-boiled eggs was a very common thing for people to bring with them. And they never needed refrigerating. Now they're saying, oh yeah, you have to refrigerate them like hours after taking them out of the refrigerator, or they will go bad and make you all sick. Which I don't believe that at all.
I have a milk phobia, if anyone is out there wondering. I believe mentally, and I can't get past this, it's very difficult for me to get past this, which is why I don't drink dairy milk. I believe that when you open the milk, that's only good for that day. After that, it goes bad. I've thought this for a long time, so every time I open a carton of milk or whatever, knowing that it will last more than a day, I smell it. I every single fucking day, I smell it just to make sure it's not bad. Because in my mind, it's already bad, because it's day 2. How could it possibly be good? Although, how long was it sitting on the fucking shelf before I opened it? Oh my God!
No. Dude, think about that. How long was it in the fucking cow before it even made it to the shelf? Why doesn't milk go bad in the cow?
In fairness, I did have a dairy allergy like 3 or 4 years ago, which went away naturally by itself, and I kind of switched over to milk alternatives anyway. So right now, almond milk or cashew milk is I like it way better. But we only use it for smoothies, for instance, so I don't really drink it. We found pistachio milk the other day. That was weird, and I haven't tasted it yet.
Do you remember the special thing about the milk that was served in the New Hope?
It was blue.
It was blue. Yes. She served milk with the meal. Aunt Beru served milk with the meal, and it was blue milk. Now, the only reason I knew that wasn't from watching the movie, because when you watch, what is that? I don't know what that is. It's probably some sort of like, you have no idea what it is. That game that we played, it was a card game, and it was full of interesting little facts like that.
Oh, that collectible card game. Yeah, but it was a card. I remember that game.
Yeah. Like another card was called Hans Dice, and there was a set of dice, gold dice, and it's like, at what point in Star Wars were there dice? I don't remember this. So we watched that entire movie looking for not just the movie, but all 3 of those movies. We were searching for dice. And sure enough, there's one scene where they get on the Millennium Falcon, and he has regular dice hanging from, like, something in the Millennium Falcon. And I think it's Chewie who hits his head on him, and they start, like, bouncing around as he's sitting down. But sure enough, there's a set of dice hanging.
And the thing that I learned that I didn't know before playing that card game was, you know when R2 and C-3PO are walking into that bar in Mos Eisley and that noise happens and then the bartender goes, those are droids, they can't come in here?
Yes.
It's the thing on the wall, the blue glowy cross thing that makes that noise, and it's called, I don't remember, it's like a droid detector.
Droid detector. Yep.
And
Exactly.
I learned that other than that, I just thought it was a glowy thing that was on the fucking wall. I didn't know what made the goddamn noise.
As they walked in, it started going haywire. He's like, hey, their droids aren't welcome here. Like with all the creatures in there, there was no droids. Which is just because droids can't drink. But, yeah, I learned a lot about Star Wars from that game. All the officers had like a little pocket on the side of their uniform, and they had these little like round, they almost like cigar cases in them. Those are like data things that also told rank. That the more rank you had, the more you had, or the color, something like that.
Yeah, the color, the blue, yellow, red things. Yeah, that's a rank insignia. I don't understand how that worked, but hey.
It was rank, but it was also some sort of, from what I understand, like contained data or something. To the wiki.
Wikipedia. To the Wookiee.
To the Wookiee.
I did it all for the Wookiee. What? The Wookiee. What? The Wookiee. I did it.
Did it all for the Wookiee.
See, everything I know about Star Wars, at least the vast majority of what I know, comes from reading the novels and just screwing around on Wikipedia for hours on end.
So if we want to get into the EU, while I always saw the novels in bookstores, but I never really bothered with them until I started working for the Bismarck Tribune. And I started working there as the easiest way to say it was an assistant. Basically, routes that didn't have carriers, they would give us 3 or 4 or 5 a night, and we would go throw papers on those routes. And the way that the Tribune employees throw papers is from the car, mostly. So I learned I can throw a mean fucking paper from a car, and I can let it land exactly where I want it to fucking land. So you have to roll all these papers and put them in bags in order to get them to fly correctly. So you took your 300 to 500 papers, and you sat someplace and you put them all in bags all at once, so all you have to do is throw from that point on. So while I was stuffing and throwing papers, I started renting from the library the Star Wars audiobooks of the of the EU. And because the library is the library, you don't have 2 books in order, so I heard some early books, and I heard some middle of the road books, and I heard some, at the time, current books, and then I found the one that came before one I heard before, so I listened to that. And I found the one that came after another one that I listened to, so I listened to that. And it was very piecemeal until I started finding out how to get the audiobooks in order to listen to them. So the first long stretch of audiobooks that I listened to in the correct order was the Darth Caedus saga, and then I'm very disappointed that The Fate of the Jedi was really the last time I'm going to get to read anything about that version of Luke Skywalker, but I understand it happens. Ooh, what's that, Bob?
Okay, so here is, according to this, not only does it have the colors on the left breast, but it also has the metal cylinders to either side of the badges. And it refers to them as code cylinders, so it keeps different codes and stuff. And here it has like all the different variations of the codes worn by the military guys from the Navy ranks and the Army ranks. So they have like 2 different versions then of each of these. And there's a lot of different ranks. So that's kind of neat.
See, I never actually read much of the stuff about the Empire, so a lot of that stuff is new to me because I focused mostly on the stuff that happened before the series because I liked reading about the Sith. The Sith have always been the most interesting part of that universe to me.
With Force Awakened, I'm so glad that they did not use Sith because when Darth Vader died, thus died the Sith. End of story. So, unlike the novels, which kept going back to that well, like, that's the only bad guy we can use. No! My God. The reason that Khan from Wrath of Khan is a great villain is because he's fucking dead. All right? They used him. He was awesome. Now he's dead. The reason that Sylar from Heroes is not an awesome villain anymore is because they used him, they killed him, and then they're like, we can't kill him. Let's bring him back. No! So they kept going back to the Sith. So I'm so very glad that they used the Knights of Ren. I don't know anything about them yet, but I'm interested enough to learn.
Well, they're basically Sith. Because what the Sith were just an organization of Dark Jedis.
They were the opposite. They were the opposite. Everything they did was the opposite of Jedi, which is weird, because the Jedi wanted to propagate a lot, and it wasn't until Darth Bane that they decided to do the Rule of Two, which is where that came from.
Right, and that wasn't they decided. It was Darth Bane decided, and he killed everybody else.
Which is an awesome trilogy.
Yes, that was by far my favorite trilogy of books in the entire expanded universe.
I haven't read any of those. I'm saddened when I haven't.
Darth Bane. The first one is Path of Destruction by Drew Karpatian. It's fucking awesome. You need to listen or read all 3 books in the Darth Bane series.
It seemed like there were so many of the books that were written, and they weren't all like George Lucas did these, and then there's these that were written by this person, and these that were the prequels written by these people, and then these ones over here written. They had so many things that were written by other people that, what's canon, what really happened, what really didn't. There was so much.
The EU keeps its own consistency. So if you pick a point to start reading, it will be consistent from that point on. So,
yeah, the difficult part is just figuring out what the chronological order of the books is.
Now, because I've gone back to listen to some of the early novels, I can tell you don't start with those because they are god-awful. Absolutely terrible.
There is one.
Oh, go ahead.
There's one comic that I'm wanting to get and I want to read, and it has a Star Wars scenario where Han and Chewie crash. They crash on a little blue-green planet out in some far-off region. And then, they're living in the on this planet because their Millennium Falcon is destroyed, and Han ends up dying of old age, and Chewie is still there as kind of like a warrior thing of the woods. And, well, other people have heard about this, and somebody comes to check it out to see who it is, and the person who comes to check it out is Indiana Jones. He crashed on Earth. So it's Indiana Jones who shows up to investigate this scenario thing, and Chewie is still sitting there defending the body of his long-lost friend Han Solo, and it's the same guy, but it's not, because, so I do want to get that one issue, even though it happened a long time ago in the galaxy far, far away.
I do have, it's interesting, I do have one drawback with the EU, for the whole EU everywhere. They eat a lot. There's so much about food in those books. It's disturbing.
Well, they have to show how alien they are and saying this is what they like.
Coffee is calf, and they eat Nerf steaks a lot, a lot. They eat other stuff too, but I mean, it's every 3rd chapter is about a meal that they're eating.
I read something else here recently where they referred to as coffee as calf. Oh, it's that Wheel of Time series.
Really?
It's KAF or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go with any kind of, high fantasy or sci-fi novel, then, if you have something that's supposed to be, analogous to coffee, they usually go with calf or something very similar to that. because it's the beginning of the word caffeine.
Mhm.
What?
And I mean, it's trite and overdone, but it does. You don't have to explain it to anyone because they can immediately figure out calf must mean coffee.
I do like the Waterworld where they refer to drinkable water as hydro. That's kind of a thing that I always thought was cool, and I occasionally refer to my water. It's like, gotta grab some hydro.
Oh, hey Bob, if you like the Star Wars stuff that's kind of silly, like what you were talking about with the comic, you should also look into reading Death Troopers. It is it's a novel set in the EU. It's actually part of the EU. It's canon. It does have Han and Chewbacca, and it is zombie stormtroopers.
Wow.
Speaking of troopers, that immediately made me think of the first successful Star Wars fan film, Troopers. It happens in universe, and it shows you what happens with the stormtroopers while they're looking for the droids in a cops-style documentary TV show. Oh, wow.
I did see something like that. That was cool. Hold on just a second.
All right. So since you and I are the EU people here, yeah, I really picked up after. Basically, I picked up right before I started my long stretch before Mara Jade died, and then I went straight through. I didn't read the X-Wing one, the last book, because I was in it for the Jedi, so I wanted to learn. So I was very disappointed that Fate of the Jedi was the last one.
Yeah, I think like the last one that I actually read chronologically, like I read Death Troopers and enjoyed it, and that was part of, during the reign of the Empire. I read a couple of other, novels set during and after the Empire era, and I didn't like them. I really just don't like that era in the history of that universe. But I read a lot of the stuff from before the Empire and before the Republic existed. Like, I really enjoyed the Darth Bane books, and also the Revan books were amazing.
I was disappointed that they did the whole, well, let's pick up where Darth Revan is coming back to the light side. No, I want to know when he's at the peak of his fucking evil, people. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, any of the books that involve, like, the actual Sith are fantastic to me. Like, both the race and the organization.
Was it Revan that had the actual oldest Sith? And it was centered around a guy who was trying to be immortal like the leader, and he found out how painful it is to be immortal. Do you remember that?
Well, I know that Revan was not the first Sith.
No, there was the book I'm thinking of, it was one of the old Republic eras, like old, and it was about a genetic Sith. He was a Sith who was also a practicing Dark Jedi / Sith.
Right.
And his whole goal was to be like the Emperor, who was purported to be immortal. And he achieved that goal, but what he discovered in the process was that the immortality comes with a huge price, which is you are constantly in pain, and it's not like a niggling pokey pain. It's like you are on fire all the time, and that's the best end of the book is where he's like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize the Emperor is in so much fucking pain all the fucking time." Ah! And then the Emperor comes in and goes, "Yeah, now you know what I'm dealing with, bitch." Well, it doesn't say it like that, but I mean...
That's why he's so cranky all the time.
Oh, right. That's the one who made the holocron that Darth Bane found during his trilogy, where he found out about the armor made of beetles or whatever.
Probably. Let me, Immortality Sith Emperor novel. To the internet.
Blue Milk Special. There's a Biggs Darklighter #1. It's a Blue Milk Special.
Where?
It's a well, there is a thing that I had heard about, and I was trying to find it here. This is a comic with Biggs Darklighter. Now, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something that had Biggs in it. Biggs being Luke's friend. Now, I don't remember the other guy's name. It might be Biggs and Wedge, something like that. But remember, I don't know if you guys seen Lion King 2.5. Did you see that? Either
No.
of you? Here's what you had. You had a movie, so you had The Lion King, and then you had this one here, where it shows Pumbaa and Timon in the movie, but they're not in the movie. It's the entire movie's happening, and like they're in the same timeline, but they're not interacting in the main movie. And this is the same thing. So like right before Luke and Han and all of them show up in the control room of on the Death Star, there's Biggs and Wedge in that same room, and when they walk out, that's when Luke and Han are in there, and their little thing happened. And so it's like it's them in the movie, but they're not in the main movie. But like they just miss each other like every single time, like almost like in so many different scenes, they just miss being in the main part of the movie. And I heard a whole bunch about it, and I'm trying to find it now. It's just kind of like that Lion King thing, where we're not in the movie, but if we were like 30 seconds later leaving that room, we would have been in the movie, but we weren't.
So
Just missing the main thing.
it sounds. I would be interested in seeing something like that. My research revealed that The Old Republic Revan is the novel that I'm speaking of.
Reverend?
Revan, R-E-V-A-N. It's in the Old Republic. It's like thousands of years before the Battle of Yavin, and it's about Revan, who is reconverted to the light side, and it's from two perspectives. It's from this one Darth or Sith Lord and this one and Revan, and it ends up being to where this Sith Lord is trying to attain immortality, finally does, and the novel basically ends with him going, "Oh my God, I've made a terrible fucking mistake! Terrible mistake!" So I like that, yeah.
I'm also a fan of the Lost Tribe of the Sith series.
I wanted to start reading. If it came in audio format, I would have totally enveloped that, but it was only... I don't have time to read things. That's the problem. I have time to listen to stuff all over the place, but...
Well, I mean, each book is only like 50 pages.
I know, but I still got to read them. Still got to read them, which I understand is an interesting concept, but you have so many dark force options that you can invent. I came up with an idea. I came up with a dark Jedi, or a Jedi who left the Order, who said, you know what, this isn't for me. I need to go explore things. So I came up with the concept of this Jedi went to another galaxy entirely. He ends up in Galaxy 2, okay? Let's just call it that. He shows up. He is, of course, the most powerful Force user in Galaxy 2, but he introduces this entire species to the Force. Well, because he is not batting on the side of the Jedi, they basically become the first Sith, for lack of a different term. I named them something else, but it was in his honor, so they named them after him. And during the process of him training all these evil beings, he came to the realization that, you know, I don't quite have to be a Jedi, but what I've been doing is really dickish. So he started doing light side stuff and teaching a whole other species or a whole other planet worth of people the light side version. Not quite Jedi, but definitely light force. So he had invented in this Galaxy 2 the Jedi Sith battle, but in his own image, because he is the sole source of all this power, or learning. I came up with that, and I didn't even need to worry about the fucking Sith. I'm just saying, just don't use... They beat Sith into the ground. I'm just glad they're using Ren. I know that they're basically Sith, but they're different.
Right, well, I mean, the stuff that deals with the Sith species, I think, is the most interesting. Because, like, their culture is really just weird.
Well, they were co-opted by Dark Jedi, and well, that's how that works. I don't like the dangly things on their faces. I would play with that constantly.
Well, see, when I started playing The Old Republic when it first came out, because I was in the beta and I played it for a little while after that, I couldn't see much difference between them and the Zabrak.
So, this is that comic, the Blue Milk Special one. So I don't know if this is the same one. I think the other one's an actual comic book. So this one here says, Captain Antilles, order your rebel crew to lay down their arms and surrender. What? No, you have it all wrong. This is a consular ship. We're on a diplomatic mission. Invader's like, you do realize you're wearing a rebel fleet uniform, right? And he's like, it's pretty cheesy comic, but it's funny also. Like, here Vader's where his coffee cup is like quite obviously a Star Trek cup that he's got. But I mean, the art is a little cheesy and but cool at the same time. But it's definitely worth looking at.
Ooh, have either of you guys seen Darths and Droids?
No.
Why can't I turn screenshot off? Oh, there we go.
Okay, go with Darth and Droid, and then I'm going to talk about cereal.
Cereal.
Okay, so Darths and Droids is it's a comic, like a screen cap comic. Have you ever seen those before?
I have, but not that specific one.
Okay, so just a sec, I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
But basically, it's they go through the entire series of movies, and they go from episode 1 up to, I think they're in episode like 4 or might be 5 now. But anyways, basically going through it as if it were a D&D game. And
nice. I'm a big fan of D&D. DJ, not so much.
I don't like the genre. I've played extensive amounts of D&D, but if you and me and Kevin sat around the same table and you guys wanted to play D&D, I would completely gloss over and lose interest. I'm D&D'd out.
So this is what it looks like.
I'll highlight Kevin so that he doesn't disappear. What? I'm still looking at the equipment list. How many gold pieces? Republic credits. Whatever. How many do we have? 120 each. We can't even afford blasters. Oh, man. Let's see. Electro Axe. Energy Mace. Plasma Bow? You just took a D&D equipment list and stuck techie words in front of it, right? Okay. Well, that's Darths and Droids. I would probably read that.
Well, and then at this point, this is where the lightsabers come in.
Yeah, I totally want to read this now. Darthsandroids.net. There you go, folks. Darthsandroids.net. We have just given you, I'm assuming, hours of hilarity.
Wow.
That
looks pretty cool.
All right, gentlemen, we have been on for 2.5 hours. Are we going to hit the 3-hour mark and then stop? Or Bob?
Really?
Yeah.
It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning here.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, for you. For me and Kevin, it's only 9:51.
Yeah. Looks like the wife is stirring. She may be heading off to bed now. Oh, she's not feeling good.
No. Sorry.
So.
Hope you feel better. Easter's tomorrow. You get to eat eggs that sit out all day and sit in a basket for weeks afterwards and possibly get poisoned.
Yeah, see, we don't do that. We haven't done the eggs in a long time, and that was a very big thing. Is that the eggs? In fact, I don't know if we've ever colored eggs in our house, and we hide the plastic eggs at my parents' house for all the kids and stuff. And plastic eggs don't go bad,
That's true.
but you can't eat them either.
Well, you can. It's very uncomfortable and painful, and isn't good for you.
Right. I have already planted quite a few things this year. I have my lemon tree. No, yes, my lemon tree. But I also have like raspberries and blueberries and blackberries, and I got a bunch of berry stuff. And
I'm hearing lots of berries.
oh, here's what I was thinking would be cool. If you had your own home, which you don't, but it would be cool, is like if I had made cuttings from my pear tree and I send them in the mail, like in their little dirt ball, to my friend DJ, to where you can have in your yard part of the tree that is in my yard.
That would be cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I still could. I'd have to make sure it works because I'm having a hard time. I tried it last year and I couldn't get it to work, but I think I did it wrong.
Now, this is not Star Warsy, but I'm going to bring it up because I got two.
We'll do that with mine.
What?
What I was saying about my tree was not Star Warsy either.
No, it's just true. I'll just keep us off topic then. I once played an online game that was run through email of Vampire. Okay, it was a vampire game. It was run solely through email. No chat rooms, no message boards, only email. And the storytellers, they centered the idea of what was going on around the social interaction between the vampires. And that worked out great. They then did another game that relied heavily on a chat room, and I wasn't nearly as interested. It was run basically the same way, but they ended up needing people to get together more often. And I would have enjoyed the game with what they did with it, but they went in a totally different direction. I don't like that. So, what I've been feeling nostalgic lately, and I was doing all kinds of searches to see if anyone who used to play in that game or used to run that game is running that style of game, and I couldn't find one. So then I thought, why don't I just run the Doctor Who game that I want to run with all you guys exclusively through email?
We could try that.
Yeah, I've never played a game that way before, but I could definitely give it a shot.
Okay, it would be a very slow pace, I will tell you that. It's a slower pace, but if you're all interacting with each other in email and I'm running the thing, we can all play basically you're playing all the time. There's no, hey, we got to get together Monday night. No, it's, I have time Monday afternoon between lunch and walking to my computer to write 16 words. I'm going to fucking do it.
Yeah.
And it flowed better. Now, yes, it was extremely slow, and several of the conversations in Vampire took... in fact, I had one conversation that lasted over a month that fit into information that was a month old. But the conversation was so awesome, we just kept going. But that's the general idea, is I would run it exclusively through email.
That definitely would work.
I've been told that's similar to play-by-post, but I would want, if we did play-by-post, I would want us all to edit a single post. And I don't think that's possible on any forum software anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was possible, like, say, on the World of Darkness forums, in whatever form they exist at this point, because I haven't actually been to those forums in, like, 5 years. But
they don't exist. Onyx Path has some, but the White Wolf doesn't anymore.
Would Messenger speed it up a little to where you have like a mass message type thing, and you always we always have our phones on us.
That's true. Don't they have like mass texting things?
Yeah, but let's go with this theory, and this is actually a perfect group. What kind of phone do you have, Kevin?
iPhone 6.
Okay, and Bob, just so that we remind everybody, what kind of phone do you have?
I have the Samsung Note, I don't know, 3, maybe?
Okay, I also have an iPhone, which is an iPhone 6s, 6 Plus. I don't have the S. Sorry, no S. So if we were doing texting, for instance, if Bob had a text limit, or if another one of the players had a text limit and wasn't an Apple user, then they would be running up text charges with the 700 texts we were sending, plus we have a limit of how many characters we can send. Now, we could use something like a Skype or whatever, but Skype doesn't work great on all kinds of phones. Like, for instance, having used Skype multiple times on an iPhone, on multiple versions of the iPhone, I find that Skype kind of sucks on the iPhone in general.
Well, not so much text messages, but like Facebook has got its own little messenger thing.
There is that, but we can't edit the post. Like, I can send you, I can send you, Bob, you suck, and I can probably edit that, but Bob, you can't edit that. So it's Bob, you suck, and then you may copy mine and add your own, but then I can't edit yours. So that's what I'm saying with the post thing.
Yeah, and also that would also require everybody to add each other as friends, and I'm not sure that everyone involved would want to be my friend.
Well, something I've been trying to get a lot better with it, and I am actually a lot better with it. So if you are watching this and you haven't been my Facebook friend in a long time because of something I've said or done, I am getting better. I tend to every once in a while go on long rants or long skewed. I'll get on my high horse and I will be a complete ass for long enough to drop a bunch of people, and then I'll regret having done that, and those people will never come back. So, for instance, Chris, that ran our vampire game from a long time ago, will not refriend me because him and I got into an argument on one of my stints. He was also on that similar stint, but it was because he was being an ass. So, he's not going to be my friend anymore. I don't care.
I've never ditched somebody because of. I think the only reason I've ever ditched somebody is usually because of the. The one reason why I've ditched people on Facebook is the fucking pictures. I do not want to see pictures of beaten, abused, people laying in the hospital, or pray for this dog, or I don't want to see that. I don't want to turn that on and see children that have had the shit kicked out of them every single day. I don't want to see that. So that's something that I have defriended people for. I hate seeing all those terrible pictures of people and children and dogs, because children they don't classify as people. They're only like 0.5 people.
And that drives me nuts. And then the people that want you to, they're constantly sharing Jesus pictures. I'm not specifically Jesus, but like, this is a picture of a cross on a meadow, and pray that you are wonderful and pray for all your friends. Yeah. You must believe in Jesus. I know 6 of you are Muslims, but I don't fucking care. Jesus all the way.
Blah, 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 type amen.
Yeah. Share if you want an amen. Share if you want to pray something. Comment if you want to.
Which, just for the record, the word amen is based off of the Amen and Amen Ra Egyptian gods. So every time somebody ends a prayer with that, they're actually speaking to the Egyptian gods and not their God at all. Just saying.
It's very little in Christianity that has a root in Christianity. Everything's stolen from somewhere.
In fact, the holiday that we have tomorrow is a pagan holiday.
What?
It has nothing to do with Jesus Christ at all.
What?
See, all of the like the religious posts, the posts about how much people hate whatever, all that. I think I've unfollowed about half of the people on my friends list, so that they are still on my friends list, but I don't have to see any of the stuff that they post.
I start with that, but then people start getting tag somebody that you think needs to be prayed for, and then my name shows up, and I'm like, that's it. You just fucking broke the back. I'm done. Done with you.
See, for the most part, the people that I'm friends with on Facebook don't actually think of me. Like, they don't think to tag me in anything unless they think, oh, this is something Kevin would like. It's like, all right.
See, I'm surprised that if DJ didn't think that I was as awesome as I am, he probably would have deleted me for some of my political views that I've been posting on Facebook.
Well, and to let everybody know, Bob is what I would still consider atypical military in thinking. I used to think the way that Bob does. However, I have come to think differently. Bob and I have, I would say, 100% opposite political views, and we get along just fine. Because I don't know if Bob consciously decided to do this, but I have. I don't talk about politics with Bob because I don't want to get into that conversation with him. We never had I don't think we've had a serious political conversation, Bob, ever.
I have the same problem with my wife. Politics and religion are the two things that, like, me and my wife do not get along with at all because she's wrong and she doesn't like to hear about it.
Wow.
Oh, you heard that?
Wow.
I said that loud enough for you to hear, hon. Love you.
But, I mean, and I started doing this, in fact, two of the people, this is a long time ago, but there was a guy that was at work who was a Muslim, and I didn't know this when we were talking about this, but there was a third person that was asking questions, and the third person said something somewhat political, and that got me into spinning around in my chair, and I'm saying, listen, there are two things I try not to discuss because I don't need to know about them. It's like, the best analogy I've ever heard is religion is like a penis. You can be proud of it, but don't wave it around.
Don't take it out in public. Yeah, it's...
Yeah, I don't have any reason to know what religion you are. And then I pointed at this other guy and I said, I mean, for all I know, he could think of, he could think the flying spaghetti monster is the most amazing thing in the world. And he said at that point, well, I'm actually Muslim. And I'm like, see, I didn't know that. I don't need to know that because we get along just fine.
Right.
So
The flying spaghetti monster is pretty cool. The fact that it has blown up the way that it has, and everybody, even the people who like it, know that's bullshit, and they love it anyways.
Well, I lump it in with like Discordianism, whereas it was a thing for a little while, and then somebody ran with it, and it got way bigger than it should have ever gotten. But
it's a fun thing.
Well, but Discordianism is hilarious, though.
So is the flying spaghetti monster.
Awesome.
Well, Bob and I at one point were practicing Discordians just because the most holy
Todd.
Most holy Todd. Yeah, there we go. I don't even remember my title anymore, but because we're a non-profit organization, I couldn't be the prophet of whatever. I was a priest or something. Yeah, yeah, but I try not to discuss politics with people I don't want to disassociate myself with. So, for instance, now, like I have already mentioned, Bob and I are not going to sit down and talk about his political views on Trump or on Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders or Ted Cruz, to name four, two from one side, two from the other.
You pronounced cunt wrong. Oh, sorry, we're not talking about that. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Now, see, I find that funny, but it's in other situations that might prompt a serious political discussion. I'm like, no.
Right.
So I just avoid it. And I never talk about religion because you always find the one fucking guy, the one, or girl, the one fucking person that's like, what? Everything in the Bible is 100% true, and if you're not a practicing Christian, you deserve to be wiped off the face of the planet. And then I would immediately go, I'm not a practicing Christian. I left Christianity because I thought it was a bunch of bullshit. And then you get that look on their face like, and then I
What
get.
I always thought was great about that is that some of the best people to argue with about that is the atheists, because they're atheists for a reason. They do know it's in the Bible, and they can quote it back to you. So the Christian atheist, I'll just set that there for now. Those are some of the best arguments that you can get, because like they'll say, well, the Bible says this. You can turn around and say, yeah, but it also says this. And they're like, oh, yeah.
Part of the reason I left the religion in the first place is because I actually read what's in the goddamn book. Like, I didn't pick and choose my sections either. I know more about the Bible than most of the people that preach the Bible to me.
Exactly. That was my point. Most atheists do. Yeah.
Yeah, see, when I was a kid, I went to a private Christian school.
Oh, God.
And
Now-
so, yeah.
Now, wait, though. Catholic girls are easy. I know that's a general statement, but it's generally true.
They're easy to offend. They're easy to, yeah, it's...
No, they're just easy. Just stop there. They're easy.
No, see, the thing is, going to this private Christian school for however long I went, not a single person who went there actually, like, considered themselves Christian. Like, their parents were, but they were just like, no, no. Plus, there was the time that we found the principal sleeping with a nun. That was a whole thing.
Yeah, they're called nuns because they're not supposed to get none. That's kind of weird. Out of the 3 books that I have sitting here, I actually have one on beekeeping, which has got nothing to do with what we're talking about at all. I do have one on runes, the Futharkian runes, and a Wiccan book. So out of the 3 books that I have sitting here, like 2 of them are are things that people tell me I'm going to hell for. So, but no one has told me I'm going to hell for reading about beekeeping. So that's kind of.
Oh my God, you are going to hell, Bob. You're reading about beekeeping.
And the collection is complete. Awesome.
I have this.
Books of Blood? Clive Barker?
Yeah.
Is that the Clive
That's
Barker
the
one?
closest thing that happened to me sitting. Yeah.
Was that the Clive Barker Books of Blood?
It's a collection. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes. There was a friend of mine who had seen 2 copies of that at a flea market. $250 for one, $200 for the other. It was bound in leather and written in red ink.
Okay.
I know it very well.
See, that I can understand. I was confused for a second because I was like, geez, I bought this for like $2.
Yeah. Well, this one here was only released in England. It was not released in the States at all. And they did even have a movie that was based off of the simple concept. In the Books of Blood, have you finished that entire thing?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Books of Blood, I don't want any spoilers here for you. It starts out with this guy who's like faking ghost writings, and he makes a vase explode, or the ghosts make the vase explode, and they're using the little shards of glass to etch their stories directly into this guy. Well, in the original one, they left out, in mine, I had 3 small books, volumes 1, 2, and 3 of the Books of Blood. In the original one, I guess, I don't know if this story was in your copy, because it's all in one book, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is in there, but in the very last story, it's talking about this book collector who finds this guy, kills him, guts him, cuts him up into pages, and calls it the Books of Blood. Now, when it's bound in leather and written in red ink, when you get to the very, very end here, you realize, oh shit, this is that guy. You're reading that guy. It's like, so that's amazing. So yeah, $250 for that. It's like, that's a lot of money. I would have totally dropped $250 for that book.
Yeah, that's definitely nice.
I actually brought up Clive Barker today at that Amp-Guard thing. Because I had a dog once that was named Clive, and based off of Clive Barker. And I said, you guys know who Clive Barker is? And everybody's like, no. And one dude's like, yeah, I do. Hellraiser. I'm like, there's somebody who knows. So it's pretty cool that you have that. That's amazing.
Hellraiser.
Oh, yeah, and Star Wars.
Yeah.
You guys talk, I gotta pee.
Oh, okay. Wonder What other letters you have?
I also got a Q.
Ooh. Yeah. Clive Barker's pretty cool. He did the Hellraiser movies. He did Rawhead Rex, which kind of sucked because he wasn't allowed on the set because he kept telling them that they're doing things wrong.
Yeah, and that's funny to me because, like, you look at the Hellraiser series of movies, the only good one is the one that he was allowed to, be in charge of.
Yeah.
They have like 12 movies now, and only the first one is worth anything.
They kept making a lot. I stopped watching, like, I think the Toy Maker, the one where they had the space station, is the last one that I saw.
Well, you know why they're still making them, though, right?
No idea.
If the studio goes long enough without making a new Hellraiser movie, they lose the rights.
Oh.
So they make one every couple of years so that they can keep the rights, and that's the only reason.
Okay. That makes sense. It's terrible, but it makes sense.
One movie that was based off of Clive Barker's writings that I absolutely loved, aside from Hellraiser, was The Midnight Meat Train.
Oh, I didn't know they made that into a movie.
Oh yes, it is fantastic.
That's pretty cool. I remember the story well. Hey, look, DJ's back. I remember the story well. He's done a lot of books, and I had a whole lot of his collections, but I don't know where they went. Lord of Illusions was another one of his.
Yeah. Well, Hellraiser and Midnight Meat Train are both from the Books of Blood, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. There was another story in there where I started reading it, and like right away, it had like two guys who were a couple, and I was like, what the hell? And this guy that who had also read it says, no, man, you've got to read this story. He says, this is the bloodiest, goriest story ever. And what happens in the story is that they come across this village. There's two villages, little towns, whatever. And these towns are named after two giants that were supposedly like that used to be there. They were brothers, and every like 10 years or so, these brothers would meet and they would fight. So what the two towns do is every 10 years, they all strap themselves together into this massive giant thing, and the two towns, like with all the people, come together and they fight. And it went horribly wrong, and they end up like falling, and there's like waves of blood that like knock their van off the road because there's so much blood. And yeah, it's pretty gory, which is cool. Totally into that. Gross.
Totally into that. Yeah.
But yeah, and you know, when it comes to Star Wars, okay, back to Star Wars again.
Yeah.
I would like to see more of a. I know they do have a lot of things out there as far as novels and comics, cartoons. There's so much out there, but it's not. It's not in the public eye. It's not an in-your-face sort of thing, and you have to look for it. Now, the people who are big Star Wars fans, like, they know where to look. They look for this stuff, and they want to follow everything, which I'm totally cool with. I need to do that. I need to get the comics. I need to get the books. Supposedly, they went through and they said what was canon and what wasn't canon in the novels and things that weren't written by Lucas. So, not all what's out there is true now.
No, I mean they did like Lucas. They at some point Lucas established you have to follow a specific line, and there's levels of canon. The problem I had with the EU and the novels was that they started writing the novels immediately after a movie that they didn't have enough information to continue writing novels from. So like some of the novels are written right after A New Hope when nobody knew that Leia was Luke's sister. So some freaky shit starts happening. Some of the novels were written with the if you started reading the EU from what is considered the start point, you're going to see a lot of the Emperor pop back up as a clone. I mean, he fucking pops back up hundreds of goddamn times. And the 7th or 8th time it happens, you're like, I am really tired of them using the Emperor again. Really? You got nothing else?
But it would make sense that they even would. I mean, if you've got somebody that powerful, if they were able to take just like one soldier and make many, many, many of him, that's why that scene, there's that one scene where Leia says to Luke, a little short for a stormtrooper, aren't you? Well, that's because all stormtroopers are the exact same size, because they're all clones of the same person, and I don't think that... which really surprises me, why the black guy shows up in this latest movie.
The stormtroopers are not clones. There's apparently a pretty clear delineation that they're the stormtroopers. When the Clone Wars ended, they went away from clones entirely. Okay. So they are just a lot of different people that fight for a specific military.
So at a time they were, but now they're not.
Yeah, they started out as Jango Fett clones, and then they slowly became just random individuals. It was like the military; they're just random individuals that just happen to be doing the same thing.
They ran out of Jangos.
Yes.
Not necessarily. I mean, I'm fairly certain that there still are Jango clones, just nowhere near as many of them are.
Well, I wouldn't say that there are any in the current day. Like the Force Awakens current day.
They would have aged just like
Jango.
Yeah,
definitely not by the time of the Force Awakens, but like by the time of the original trilogy, they probably would have still been around, but most of them that were still actually stormtroopers would probably be like officer level.
Yeah, they would be few and far between at that point, yeah.
Right.
Definitely not in the millions. But yeah, it's and then the stormtroopers in the Force the First Order stormtroopers are they follow the recruiting style of the Jedi from the Old Republic, which was to grab kids before they're old enough to know better and kind of program them from that point. Now, in the Jedi's defense, they were grabbing kids that had Force powers and preventing them from having all kinds of terrible experiences as children, killing people inadvertently.
I was going to say, that would be a cool storyline, is to, they're not the good guys, they're not the bad guys, but they still have that ability to them. I don't know if there's been any stories based on that. A Force-sensitive type person who's not trained either way.
There are comics that deal with that. I know I've read them. In fact, that's how Darth Bane, once he eliminated all the Sith, that's kind of how he found his apprentice, was he came across a Force-sensitive child, and he's like, you know what? She's pretty strong with the Force. She's not a Jedi. Let's train her.
Oh, actually, she was a Jedi, though.
What?
She actually abandoned the Jedis, because she and her cousin or brother, something, were both Jedis. They were just brand new they were still apprentices. Because they were using even apprentices during the war at that point. And so he found her, and she decided to join up with him, and then later they came across her cousin or brother, whatever, and she killed him to prove that she could totally be a dark side person.
Oh.
Darth Zana is her name.
Yes.
Let's look her up. Because I don't believe I didn't get that from the story at all. Rain, it was her. Oh, she was recruited to fight for the Jedis. Oh, she was recruited specifically to battle the Sith army. So she was recruited as an army, a Force-using light side warrior, basically. So she was just on it. Okay, that's where my disconnect is. She wasn't being trained as a Jedi. She was being trained to fight using Force powers for the Jedi, but she wasn't being trained to be a Jedi.
Right, but it basically amounts to the same thing.
It does. Well, but this time was kind of weird. So that's why my disconnect is there, is that I didn't think that she had anything to do with the Jedi, and I didn't realize. And I know that in the third Darth Bane novel, we get her... What? You know what? I don't remember how that novel ended.
Let's see. The final Darth Bane novel. I think that it actually just ends with her killing him.
She does get him. Okay.
Yeah, because since he established the rule of 2 and she was the next Darth, that means that she had to have killed him at some point.
I was starting to write a character. It wasn't the apprentice of Darth Zana, but it was the Darth Zana's apprentice's apprentice. And I had named mine Darth Exis, which I learned there apparently is already a Darth Exis, E-X-I-S. And the idea was that this Darth was a humanoid who had no sight. So his force power, he was Daredevil as a Sith. However, I thought this was a unique idea in the Star Wars universe, and I come to find out there's an entire species that's based off of that idea that they have eyes but they can't see. So I was like, well, that just shits on my idea, and I stopped writing it. I was so mad. And Bob, when you read, you'll see that Darth Bane is all about strength and power, and because Darth Zana is as small and petite compared to Darth Bane, she is all about speed and skill to combat that strength and power. So that's where we get the whole different types of people. So she can't just go at him with strength because she knows she's going to lose that battle every time.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're both just evil, evil bastards.
You don't get much eviler than Darth Bane, and he knows that he's evil and he likes to flaunt it.
Like the peasant dude who saves his life, he goes back later and just slaughters dude's entire family, just for the hell of it.
See, I think that most times, most depictions of evil are not based on evil, but like Magneto. Magneto thinks that he's doing what needs to be done for his people. That evil is only evil from the perspective of the people that are good. Like, really, who's the bad guys, who's the good guys in some stories is really hard to tell. Like in this, I mean, it's the galactic armies. The Empire is, you could look at them as the law keepers. Basically, they're the cops, and the rest of the guys are the bad guys who are fighting the cops. I mean, depending on your perspective, who's good, who's bad. I don't think that many evil acts are done. Even the fact that Vader, before he becomes Vader, and when he's still Anakin and he slaughters those children, he didn't want to do that. He did that. He had a reason to do that because of what these kids were going to do.
Yeah, of course they do make it pretty clear that the Empire is not really evil per se, because like Luke actually wants to join the Empire at the beginning of A New Hope. Like, because he's having this conversation with Beru and his uncle that he wants to join the Academy or whatever it was.
That is true.
Oh yeah.
And he doesn't actually start viewing the Empire as evil until he starts training to be a Jedi.
Yeah, when he gets with Ben.
Like he doesn't actually decide the Empire is evil until he knows that there are Sith in it. Like, that is what makes the decision for him.
Right. Well, that whole thing right there kind of gives it a spin. And if you have people who are deliberately doing bad things just to say, look how bad I can be, I think that is like the defined evil thing. Like, somebody who's crazy and kills people just for the purpose of, look how crazy I can be and kill people, those are the evil fuckers. But, yeah, it's all perspective.
I mean, in the movie where Leia is taken as a slave by Jabba, whatever, they kind of use that as an example of how the Empire is corrupt and evil because slavery is allowed. But slavery was allowed during the Republic too, on that same planet.
It's true.
So, and honestly, in the prequel trilogy, no one seems to be bothered by the fact that slavery is legal in the Republic.
Now hold on. But those are the outer edges. So that's like that's the area where the Republic doesn't really get to. So that would be, in our situation, that would be like Mexico. We in the United States don't care what goes on in Mexico. They can do whatever they want, but we don't like when they have slaves.
We apologize for that comment if our viewer happens to be Mexican.
Yeah.
Love you guys. We love your time.
Okay.
Let me give you a different example then. So Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan do not seem in the least bothered by the fact that they're leaving behind, Anakin's mother and all of the other slaves in slavery. They just want Anakin.
I think
didn't they comment on that, saying how we can't save them all or something?
Well, I think that the idea is that we are two people and we are surrounded by billions, for instance. So that we're not going to make a dent. So let's take as many with us as we can. They tried to get the mother too, but they could only get Anakin.
Yeah, I guess, but also I think that the Jedi Order itself is kind of screwed up in the fact that they basically told Anakin right off the bat, forget about your mom, she's gone forever. Like,
that's what they did.
We're going to leave her in slavery, and we're also going to make sure that you don't ever think about her again, so that you never think to come, and buy her back out of slavery yourself.
Right. Now, had they lied to him and said, sorry, kid, your mom just died, come with us, we'll take care of you, then it would have, taken that whole thing away. But, again, I think that there's a Jedi code that would prevent...
Right, they're not supposed to love anyone or have any connections with family, whatever. But still, that's total dick move.
That's where Sidious's words come in and really hit home. Is that I want to train you, Anakin, on how to be a Force user, not just the narrow dogmatic version that the Jedi want to teach you. Now he's got nefarious plans, but what?
Not only is there a Jedi code, there's also a Sith code.
It's exactly opposite of the Jedi code. If you look at the Jedi code compared to it, you're going to see the exact opposite of everything.
Yeah, although what the whole thing about the difference between, light side users and dark side users, like the Dark Jedi are called the Dark Jedi, and the dark side of the Force is emotion. Like, that's what it is. Any kind of passion counts as being part of the dark side. Which,
right.
According to that version of the Jedi, though, now Dark Horse was starting to release a comic called Dawn of the Jedi. They were going back to when the Jedi decided to form into the Jedi. And they were even using the old spelling of Jedi, which is Jeddai or something like that. And they were exploring the fact that, we need to figure... That was their Council of Nicaea. We need to figure out what we believe and what direction we're going to go in, because we're all doing different shit here. And, of course, Lucasfilm sold to Disney, and Disney's like, nope, nobody's doing any more Star Wars anything. You guys all suck. We're taking it all back.
Well, weren't they then also considered the Empire then were the police? Well, the Jedi, they were all kind of ran by a council of Jedi. So, didn't they have basically the exact same thing happening where they wanted to control things? They even said in the one where, Anakin was, the teenager guy, and he was saying, well, we should make them listen. It's like he was big on... Now, granted, he ended up turning bad shortly after that, but still, they had, their own little... I don't know. He was looking at that point of the point of view of, we are the police. I don't know. That was kind of a... They still had their own little rulers and everything.
A lot of the EU stuff that, Luke is reforming the Jedi Order, a lot of the EU stuff deals with, we saw what the Jedi became before. We don't want the Jedi to become that. So you guys can't just go around lopping people's arms and legs off. The rules apply to you too. and that's where the Jedi are like, wait a minute. But I think that if we think of just using an analog, let's just use Christianity. I know it's not at all, it's not a council, but let's just say that Christianity
with swords, right? That are lasers, like laser swords.
Well, kind of. So, but so it was a religious organization that started to veer into politics, and at the end of the Republic, they didn't know how deep they were in until shit was hitting the fan.
Right.
So that's like the Pope saying, you know what, we're going to start steering ourselves this direction, and then he's running for president, and then he realizes, oh, shit, I shouldn't, oh, man, I shouldn't be running for president. Oh, fuck.
When he realizes, I can't believe I made everybody believe that.
Now that we've gone back into the dark side here, I telling Bob about my maybe I did this off air. Well, I was writing a story that was specifically about the Jedi being current day, present day, and the story became less about people fighting Sith versus Jedi as to one person learns what the other side is like because everybody else is afraid because that's what the manual says, is to fear the dark side. But the whole story became about this guy saying, you know, there's a whole other section of the Force over here that we really need to be studying, and it's not evil, it doesn't fit into this very narrow view. And that's the whole story. And then I started morphing. It's almost completely different now. The core of the story is there, though. It's somebody that knows more than the others, but everybody's afraid of that person because, oh my God, he knows more.
You know who's got the best views on the Star Wars movies?
DJ Allen.
Wait, no, that's not what I was going to say.
Oh.
Kevin Smith.
Oh.
Silent Bob. In his movies, now check this out. They had some great views in there that I'd never thought of before until they started talking about it in some of their movies. When it was asked, you know, which did you like better, Empire or Jedi? He's like, Empire. He's like, what? And he was like, because he's saying how the one only has Muppets and the other one is just a series of down endings. It ends in such a down note. But they also discussed the awesome concept of the one Death Star was operational, and they blew it up, and it destroyed everything, and it was all the soldiers. But his perspective on that was great. He said, do you think that an average stormtrooper knows how to install toilets? You know, that there was it was still under construction, and that entire thing was full of civilian contractors. And they blew it up. So the innocent lives that were destroyed when they... I never thought of that before. Why the hell would you? But he seemed to like... There's a lot of little Star Wars-y information that's kind of like wibbly-wobbly into that whole thing.
Well, also, I mean, if you look at the laws of physics and how things work when something, say, explodes in space, Ondor would have been destroyed in the Death Star explosion. All those Ewoks, dead.
Or at least all the Ewoks on that side of the moon, because the moon would have been displaced at that point. But the immediate damage would have been to that side of the moon.
Is that
right? But I mean, that extent of damage though would have been a global catastrophe, though.
What was that, Bob?
Because they were on the forested moon of Endor.
Yeah.
Was that moon a moon of that planet?
Do you mean the Death Star was the Death Star was a moon to whatever Endor was a moon to?
No, it was let me think here. Endor. Which one was Endor? Was Endor a planet that had any? What was Leia's planet?
Yeah, Leia's planet where she came from was Alderaan.
Alderaan. Okay, so Endor, was Endor in there at all?
And
yes, the Death Star was in geosynchronous orbit over Endor when it was destroyed.
Endor was destroyed, though.
And no, Endor wasn't destroyed. Endor was the moon that the Ewoks live on.
that's the forested moon of Endor.
Yes.
So the way that I take that, like our moon is the moon of Earth. Was the
Yes.
name of the moon Endor, or was it the moon of the planet Endor?
It's the
I have
moon.
no idea.
I've always taken it as the moon's name is Endor, which always made me wonder, how fucking big is the planet that moon is orbiting? Because that fucking moon is gigantic.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I guess that's something else I can wiki
There you go. To the internet.
to the internet.
But yeah, my point was just that if you look at the physics behind the explosion of the Death Star, it would have destroyed the moon and probably devastated the planet itself, at least to an extent.
Right. Yeah, because it was pretty close to it.
Which,
Yeah, it says that Endor is the planet. Now, one thing that you had about that is, which is totally, and this is a small thing, but it's still a thing, is that in the vacuum of space, sound does not travel. So all those explosions and stuff that you hear, all these battles and things happening in space, there would have been no sound. You would have only heard, like, if your ship fired a photon torpedo type cannon-y thing, you would have heard that in your ship. But if another one exploded over there, you wouldn't have heard it because it wouldn't have. Space doesn't contain the waves required to make sound. You would not have heard anything, which would have really, really, really made those scenes very boring. You needed that noise in that. Okay, so
Well,
where's Earth?
I like I hate the movies that go, we have to have everything 100,000% scientifically accurate. Well, you know what? As good as the story is of 2001, it could have benefited from some fucking space noise. I can tell you that, because there are long periods of that fucking movie where all we hear is heavy breathing.
Wow. It says the Endor was a planet located in the Endor system, a binary star system positioned in the Medel sector of the galaxy's outer rim. That was orbited by a forest moon of the same name.
Of the same name. So Endor orbited Endor.
Yeah. So they probably did the exact same thing that we do. We point to the moon and we say, that's the moon. But outside the moon, you'd be like, that's Earth moon.
Our moon's name is actually Luna.
Right. It has, like...
I'm sure it has other names, too, but, I mean, Luna is the... It's like our sun. Everybody says it's the sun. It's just a star named Sol.
Sol, S-O-L, which is the Japanese pronunciation of sun.
So, but that's still... The action in Jedi happens on the forest moon of Endor. So, knowing that, how large is Endor?
Yeah, no shit. It's cool, though, that, well, it's got to be large enough to maintain an atmosphere, because they are on it. And the idea of having... How cool would that be if when we landed on our particular moon, we realized that it had an atmosphere, it had, like, life on it, and so they've got their shit going on there, we've got our shit going on here. That would be a really neat thing that I'm sure that is that's out there. That has got to be out there somewhere where you have intelligent life on both moon and planet.
I am in the process of developing... Well, I've changed the basis of the series, but I've been in the process of developing a space-based series, and the idea is that all of the species I'm using come from a moon orbiting a specific planet. So I have doctored the way this moon orbits this planet to create these specific species. So, for instance, there is a species that has like jet black skin, and that reason they have that is because the predators on their part of the moon, or their planet, for instance, were hunting light-skinned things. So because it was dark on their side of the moon a lot, they naturally developed black skin as a camouflage.
Like the Drow.
Sure.
The Dark Elves. They had the same thing happening with underground instead of the same thing.
Listen, you say potato, I say it right. No. Well, when you say Dark Elves, I immediately go to Malekith. So, because that's where I think of now.
Right.
There is a fantasy series of novels that I was reading as a youth that two of them I go back to every once in a while to reread because I still like them. And they are Raymond E. Feist's Magician, Darkness at Sethanon, and whatever the last one was. So Silverthorn and Darkness at Sethanon. It's the first of the Rift Wars series. But the first two that I read are the Magician, which was broken into 2 books. And something happens in there that I like to... I like the whole concept of an apprentice learning stuff because they know when it's time for themselves to advance. Mm-hmm. So I've always liked the idea of, for instance, the Sith, using Star Wars as our base, it's not the master that tells the apprentice when it's okay to do whatever. It's the apprentice realizing, I can kill this motherfucker, and I'm in charge then, goddammit. And that's when they decide it's time to go. So that's the thing that draws me to the Sith, is that the apprentice is the one making the decisions for the apprentice. Back to Raymond E. Feist. So in The Magician, the first part of the Magician is broken up into 2 books, even though it's one large story. It's a Magician Apprentice and Magician Master. In a Magician Apprentice, this rift opens up between 2 worlds, and the magic users in the world of one of the characters, they all know something called low magic. I think they call it low magic. It's not. I'm not sure the terminology equates to anything you can do, but it's like magic that was really hard to use, and it was hard to learn, and to be a magician or a wizard or whatever was really difficult. It was a laborious process. Well, this character who's this apprentice to this wizard learns enough to, I don't know, zap people in the foot, basically. I mean, he's not super dangerous, but he's like, I got a lot to learn yet. Well, he gets sucked into this other place. He's the captive of this alien species. And they're like, this guy has a natural thing with magic, so let's put him through our magic academy because we know what the fuck we're doing. And they had high magic. So they stick him into this academy. It's a big tower with all these people, and concentrates for a while on how everybody's going through and like hanging out in the cafeteria. You're not allowed to speak at this level. Every level you get a different colored robe. And the level that he's at in the beginning, everybody's quiet. And all the doors are guarded, so you can't get into any important ideas. And he spends quite a bit of time, and then at one point he just stands up from the cafeteria table, walks over to one of the black robes that's guarding one of the doors and says, I don't belong here anymore. And the guard opens the door and lets him through because he's decided, I know what I need to know to get to this next level. And that's why I bring that up. So
wow.
Read that, which is awesome.
You know, that was a military thing, too. I heard that same concept in the military. Now, here's what I heard. Whenever a chief made chief, he had this thing that he had to go through where the other chiefs put him through hell, and they made him do a whole bunch of crazy things, all right? This is what I heard, right? So, like, they were driving down a really bumpy road with a coffee cup, and they had to, like, have the coffee cup full in the back of a deuce and a half without spilling any. And they had to do PT, like crazy PT, like more so than normal. And they have them doing all this shit. Well, because I hear this from one of the chiefs who told me about it. They put them through hell. It's kind of like their little thing that they do to all chiefs when they make chiefs. And finally, dude gets pissed and says, you know what? I don't have to do this shit. This is fucked up. He goes, I'm a chief, goddammit. They're like, yes, you are. You're done. You passed. As soon as they declared that they don't have to do it, that's like, you're right. That's what you were supposed to say. was, fuck this, I'm a chief and I don't have to do this. And as soon as you say that, it's done, it's over with. But nobody knows that.
I never got to that far, and I worked in the Chiefs mess in Okinawa the second time.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. But one of the guys who, he'd hang out in the room and play cards with us all the time, he became a chief. I don't remember his last name. His name was Bob also, because my name is Bob, and he was Bob also. Also is not his last name. But he told us about this. And
do you remember what he was a chief of? Like what rate?
No, I don't. That was in Japan.
Would this have been after I got out?
It was after you got out.
Okay. That would limit who. Maybe they came in after me. I was just trying to put a face to the person, because I don't know if I was in and anybody converted from petty officer to chief. I think that I saw plenty of chiefs to senior chiefs and senior chiefs to master chiefs, but never a petty officer to a chief.
If I had more time, I'd probably think of it. Pellet was one of the other guys who was there. He's a lifer for sure. I think it was John Pollitt. But they would all come to our room and play cards. So I'd be like, hey, Chief, let me use your truck. Like, yeah, here you go. And I'd take it down and I'd call Angie and stuff from the, I'd use the phones down in the offices that you had to drive to. But, yeah, I don't remember Bob's last name, though. John Pollitt, I think, is the other guy. I'm kind of curious here. If he's on Facebook. Pollitt. Well, there is John Pollitt.
Are you bored, Kevin?
No.
Don't be bored, Kevin.
Just lounging.
Yeah.
All right. It's almost 11 here, which means it's almost 2 o'clock for Bob.
Yeah, I'm totally. I got to be done here.
Well, that's why I was going to go with the winding down part. We won't even have post-show conversation. We'll just kind of end it when I end the broadcast. We can say our byes afterwards too, but I mean we won't stay on very long. But what I wanted to ask, and Kevin, you can keep coming on as long as you want to. I'll just keep inviting you.
Thank you.
So we've done Doctor Who, and I kind of named Star Wars as another popular topic. Is there another topic we want to anchor, or do we want to have a free-form 75th show? Oh, you know what? We totally missed the fucking mark, Bob. We've been on the air for 3 fucking years. As of the 23rd, it's the 26th, so we've been on the air for 3 years and 3 days. And I completely said we were going to celebrate, and it's almost it's 3.5 hours into the show, and it's too late to celebrate.
We can totally celebrate. Go like this.
Woo!
No, just title the next one as episode 75, 3 years plus 10.
We can do that too. Yeah, 3. It's the 70. It's also the 75th epiversary, which is a word that I stole from somebody.
Yeah. Excuse me.
So do we want to have another anchor topic, or do we want to be freeform for 75?
Ooh, I don't know. What other topics can we think of? Oh, you know what? I do have one little thing that I was thinking of that connects.
I don't need to know about how big it is, Bob.
It connects Star Wars to Doctor Who. One thing.
What's that?
Is that one line that I was talking about before, the whole little short for Stormtrooper, and there was a Doctor Who episode where all the people, except for like maybe 5 people, were the Master, and he says, "You're not very smart, are you?" And he's like, excuse me? What? Why am I not smart? And he says, well, the thing you didn't notice is that guard right behind you is 2 inches too tall. And it was like the one guy that was the cactus guy. Remember the cactus guy? He looks like a cactus. Well, he was in the suit. So just like the whole Stormtrooper thing and Well, he said that. He says, that's that guy right there. If everybody here is the same person, that guy's 2 inches too tall. And that's when he, fires and helps save the doctor. Of course, the doctor was tied to a chair, and so they, wheeled him out.
So this would be in the new series. God, I don't remember that.
It was when you remember the Master, right?
What? Like the John Sims Blonde Master?
Yeah, the guy who played the Master.
Okay.
And there was an episode where he made every person on the entire planet into the Master, except for Donna, the Doctor, Donna's grandfather, and I'm thinking somebody else, but almost everybody was.
It was Tin's last episode.
So it was the last of the Time Lords or the something like that. Okay, I would go watch it on Netflix, but BBC fucked us over. So
it was the same episode that had Rassilon.
So yeah, that's the connection between this episode and the last episode was that one scene right there. So had we ended the last one with that scene, and then we start this one up with you know what else was like that one? That one Star Wars thing, and then that's where you connect the two.
Well, some ideas that I had for a anchor topic, if we want to do one. Now, I would agree that maybe 3 anchor topics in a row isn't a great idea, especially with the 75th. Maybe we just want to roam around. But I am actively watching Star Trek, which is another larger franchise we could latch on to. We could also latch on to role-playing games, for instance, as a general topic. We could also do the Marvel Cinematic Universe, superhero movies, or something specific like that.
Superheroes is probably wider than the Marvel.
You know, the more I think about having just a free form, we'll just talk about fucking anything 75th, I kind of like that, and then we can go back to an anchor topic. But, so then, having said that, being the leader of this show,
dun dun dun,
come up with some ideas on what you'd like to talk about anchor topics. So, let's not get too specific. So, Doctor Who, we had 50 plus years of stuff to work with. Star Wars, we had 7 movies, 2 cartoon series, and an entire book line to go with. And we didn't even get into the role-playing games or the video games or any of that shit. Wow, we didn't cover a whole lot.
Yeah.
God, we didn't do a good job of this episode at all.
Well, we got into the Old Republic.
We did. We expanded, but we didn't expand so there's our video game connection. But, I mean, we didn't get into role-playing games very much. I mean, there was a brief comment about it that Bob made.
We do have 2 different kinds that we used. One of them was a large weight that had a hook on it, and the rope was tied to that, while the other one had the large weight, and then it also had 2 fin-type things that came down, like the ones you see on a big ship. Now, it's nowhere near as big as the ones on the big ship. In case you're wondering what I'm talking about, you were talking about anchor conversations. These are totally the anchors that we've had for our boats. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. So come up with an anchor topic, and maybe. So what I'm saying is, if we want to do role-playing games, let's do role-playing games. Don't do Dungeons and Dragons, because you'll have me doing this for the entire conversation.
Yeah. See, now I've run or played in 3 different tabletop RPGs. So
I've got a lot and have played a lot.
I would love it if he's watching or does watch at any point in the future. If Sean Steele, my former co-host from Echoes Darkly, would come on for a role-playing topic. But
Sean Steele, tell me that doesn't sound like a superhero name.
He was cool, but the reason we stopped podcasting together was because he went to school and his internet connection there sucked ass. I don't know if he's still in school or not. Maybe I'll see if I can touch base with him and maybe get him on for a role-playing one. But so, next episode, next week, oh, by the way, Doctor Who I promoted the bejesus out of. Star Wars I barely promoted at all, our episode. we got the same response from both. So what I'm noticing is the effort should be fairly low on my end because I'm wasting my time otherwise.
Yeah, see, I shared this one on Facebook. I don't know if anybody actually like paid attention to it or not.
No, I've had people like when I do the link thing, they'll like it, and then they don't watch it, like ever.
Because they're jerks.
Well, and what I do on Facebook is I specifically link it to my website so that A, I get hits on my website, but B, I have some place to have a metric that I can use. So when we started, my website had, I want to say, 6 hits before we started.
Very and the website then has the link to the show.
Right. To the event page that has Google+. So right now, as I look at it now, I have 17 hits. But, and for any of you going, God, that's a tiny number, I'm using numbers we can all wrap our heads around, so shut your fucking mouth. So I have that I use that as a metric, but I also use the YouTube views as a metric. So let's say I figured that since we didn't get a huge response during the Doctor Who show, that I would get a huge response after the Doctor Who show. However, our views on YouTube went from 11 to 13.
Oh, wow. So
yeah.
13 people actually watched the whole thing?
13 people watched at least 15 seconds. That's how a YouTube view works.
Wow.
And that counts towards us getting paid because each view of over 15 seconds does count towards our monetization that I have set up. Because in the unlikely event that we have a hit like the best lap dance for $2, that actually gets us into the millions. Millions actually pays out cash. Like there's cash that will come at us. I'm hoping that that happens someday in the future.
So what you're saying is I need to call up some of my stripper friends.
You have stripper friends and they're not on this show?
To be fair, half of them are male strippers.
Oh.
Yeah, never mind.
Bob's reaction was way better than mine.
Maybe, okay, check this out. What if we had something like this? You're going to love this shit. Like, not this week because it's 2 o'clock in the morning here, but towards the end of the show, we have a topic for next week. Not the topic for the show, but a topic for, like, favorite 10 of something. So it's like, okay, this show is on Star Wars, but next week we're going to have, so we have all week to come up with our favorite 10 of a particular thing, whether it be 80s bands or movies or, cartoons, whatever. So that week we'll talk about that sometime in the show. We'll go over our 10, why they're our favorite, and then at the end of that show go on with next week we'll have this.
We can
and then,
do that.
Even
and then
fun.
you guys can give me shit about not knowing what most of it is, because
we're old.
Yeah, that's the good thing. It's like my boy today. We were in the store. It was yesterday, and this music is on the radio, and I'm like, "What is this shit they're playing?" And he says, he says the name of the song. He says the name of the artist. He says, "I've got this." I'm like, "Why? It sucks." Like, no, it doesn't. That's one of my favorite songs. I'm like,
Do you remember anything about it?
no, I remember nothing about it. I was quite proud of the fact that I don't remember anything about it. The whole time we were in there was one song that they played that I knew and I liked. And this newer stuff,
The only thing that I have held on to in an antiquity sense, like I don't like any of the new stuff, I only really like the old stuff, is pro wrestling. Everything else, I am advancing with the world. I like newer music. I love electronic music, so I love dubstep, I love techno, I love Nine Inch Nails, I love anything that sounds electronic. But I love new movies. Sure, the old ones are great, but I would rather see a sci-fi extravaganza with all kinds of special effects than I would like to see whatever the Notebook version, like a Notebook style movie would be from. I don't care to see Gone with the Wind. Yeah, it was probably a great movie then, but you know what? It's fucking old. I moved on.
Right. Next week, you asked me that question. What was that band that he was talking about? We'll ask him while he's here. It will be a special 15-second guest. And like, all right, now get off the... Go.
Because what I'm curious is if he's a dubstep listener, because I'm also a dubstep.
That one wasn't dubstep.
Okay.
Now, I do have some techno that I really like, and some of the techno is pretty cool. And it's like a mixture of the older stuff with techno, like classical music done techno style, or like songs that I know that are done techno style. That's pretty cool. But
So episode 75, we're gonna do freeform. We'll have a funny title like we normally do. We'll celebrate elves being on for 3 years. By the way, if we were to broadcast weekly for those 3 years, we would be on episode 156. So we have missed more than half of the way here. But you know what? We had a big lull, and then we shot through and started doing a whole bunch again.
right. Well, it is like I said, 2 o'clock in the morning here, and as you see, my cup is empty, which means
Yes.
one thing. Well, it could mean two things. One, I need more drink, but actually, it's two. Is that I have to undrink an entire yellow cup full of stuff.
That's what I've done that twice on the show so far. I have done that twice. But thank you, viewer, for showing up. Hopefully we get a kick up from my amino share. Kevin, we'll see you next week. 7:30 for us, 10:30 for Bob. So that's Eastern and Pacific for anyone that's wondering. And we'll just have an episode, a 75th epiversary celebrating the greatest show, and what we'll have at that point 4 hosts, because the wife will be back and probably cooking for us. Me cooking for me. Sorry.
Cool.
So
Excellent.
let's let Bob go to bed, and we'll like I said, as soon as I hit the end broadcast, we'll all wave and we can just get off. So see you next week, guys.
Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.